Hello and welcome to everybody in today's XaiTV Act 10 Kitava race. With me is Octavian. Octavian, how are you feeling, man?
Excellently, Raiz. Thank you for asking. How about yourself? How are you?
I'm feeling pretty good. So far, feeling pretty good. Hope the chat is feeling great as well. We've got a sick lineup of racers today. Everybody super excited to race in this, again, race organized by XaiTV with over €300 on the line for the top 3 placements. Looking pretty good, looking pretty fun. Hopefully we're going to be seeing a lot of different spicy strategies, as it has been a while since we've seen an Act 10 race. Most of the recent ones have been Act 5, right?
The most recent one certainly was either that or they go beyond. We've seen a lot of races in the last. I don't know if you want to cast our mind back like 6 months or so. A lot of those ones have been to 80 or 85. The ones that Camel has been organizing.
Yeah, I think so. And hopefully, like I mentioned, we will be seeing some super secret strats. I did get news that Carvaroscu, the layout master himself, one of the players that I think a lot of people are expecting a lot of great things out of, he does have some special strategies, some hidden strategies that he has not
Special.
streamed yet. Yeah.
Okay.
Especially when it comes to the layout stuff. I don't know
I
about
mean, yeah,
builds, but
he's been putting in the work. He's got a much underappreciated series on his channel for anyone who's interested in trying to figure out layouts and just get better, get faster at leveling. Even if you don't want to compete in something like this, just faster at leveling for the inevitable flood of alt accounts you're going to have to make next week. I suggest checking out Carve's YouTube channel for his series called Carvetography, which is a great title and also a really educational series on how to learn the layouts for various different zones. I think it's on hiatus right now, though, Carve.
Yeah, I do think that it's on a little bit of a hiatus. Like I mentioned, it is he does have some secret strategies, so maybe he didn't want to release it quite yet, as this will be a pretty packed competition. I see Carve waving his finger as he watches the stream. Very suspicious. I don't know. Maybe he's got something to say. You guys can't quite see the player cams just yet, but we are seeing you, Carve. We're observing you. Okay, man. But Octavian, what do you think? In the recent Act 5 race, we've seen some arc action that seemingly came out of nowhere. The casters, me and Ziggy, were completely surprised. I thought that it's going to be some sort of trap setup. It was actually self-cast arc. You think we're going to be seeing more of this sort of action in this race?
Yeah, I liked Havoc's when you had him on for the interview at the end of the race. I liked Havoc's explanation for why he went for arc. Like, it's not the ideal skill to be using on every pack of monsters. I mean, in racing, you definitely don't want to be killing every pack of monsters in the first place, but it's not how you want to stop and kill everything. I think he was still using the Orb of Storms to some degree, right, as well as the traps,
Mm-hmm.
the Lightning Spire traps. So it's kind of a tool that's there to make up that gap that in specifically an Act 5 race you have of XP, because you're trying to get to the Kitava as quickly as possible, but also balance that with not being so underleveled that you won't be able to stand a chance against him once you get there, or that you'll die along the way to the trash between you and the big guy.
Oh yeah.
So I think with that in mind, we might still see even further iterations on the meta, because Havoc didn't seem convinced that Arc was necessarily the correct choice. It just served a purpose.
Oh.
And maybe there's something that serves that purpose better. Maybe it's Arc, but there's some like adjustments to the playstyle to compensate for Arc. Maybe a different ascendancy. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited. Honestly, I would like to see more Stormbrand. I never thought I'm gonna say this, but I still think that Stormbrand might be the way to go in a lot of these situations. We did see one of the players, Tai Killer, also in the Act 5 race, not going with the arc strategy, instead opting to use Frostbomb for much longer, then eventually switching to the proper setup with Wave of Conviction and Orb of Storms, which is what the majority of the players are used to. But if somebody's practiced enough of different ability, I'm sure they can pull out some nice times in a race such as this one. And the times that we're expecting, what do you think we're going to be seeing here? 4 hours, 5 hours?
I think closer to 4 than 5.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think so.
You run these much more often than I do myself. I
Mm.
simply have the easy, cushy job of sitting on the casting desk and talking about the action.
Ooh, I'm
You
retired
find
too,
yourself
Octavian.
way more often. Are you? Are you? But you're
Yeah.
on the list. You're in the league. I thought you're going to be racing and casting at the same time here, Rise.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought this was a
I'll finish the
multi-talented
cast
stream.
and then win the race. Yeah, that's the typical strategy. I don't think it's gonna work, but maybe if I try hard enough, you know.
How
But
fast would you expect yourself to finish?
ooh, at this
Action
point,
Kitava.
yeah,
Yeah,
closer to 5 hours.
with meta setup, Orb of Storms, Wave of Conviction, all that stuff.
Yeah, closer to 5 hours than 4, I'd say for myself in my current state. But I think a lot of these guys are gonna be getting significantly shorter times in the Act 5 race. Again, players will be pretty underleveled. And in the Act 5 race, I think the fastest time ended up being 1 hour and 11 minutes and about 30 seconds, which is, you're halfway through, right? It's kind of like being level 50 in Path of Exile, you're halfway to 100. So I think around 3 hours
Exactly.
is what we're going to be getting out of this. And do keep in mind, everybody, that as we are preparing to start up this race in about 9 more minutes, these guys will be very underleveled for this sort of content, right? They're trying to be rushing. They're going to not have a lot of gear. We'll try and keep you updated on some of the gear, some of the ladder. But gear is not a priority. The general idea is don't get hit, and whoever does that best usually comes out on top. Ty 23, the winner of pretty much every race recently, kind of likes to simplify things like that. Just go fast, don't get hit, kill mobs, and at the end of the day, it might boil down to that.
I mean, something being simple doesn't necessarily make it easy.
Yeah.
I do think we'll see a little less recklessness in this race than we saw in the Act 5, if you want to compare those two directly, because the Act 5 race was a softcore race with a penalizing timer if you ended up dying, whereas this one is in a solo self-found hardcore setting. So,
Mm-hmm.
you can, of course, start over, but it is way more punishing to have to start over from scratch than it would be to just have to stand ashamed of yourself in town for 60 seconds. So that may slow people down a little bit, but it's always balancing on that knife's edge of slowing down so that you don't end up being 10 levels under and dying to one hit, or
Yeah.
maybe making it through 10 levels under and being the first guy there and winning it all as a result.
Yeah, for sure. But it does make it pretty tricky. I have seen a lot of that in races, especially in some of the community driven Izaro races where guys would go into lab very underleveled, and in the end it wouldn't exactly pay off. Yeah, they were in the lab early, but they weren't able to deal with the boss in a timely manner, and it ended up costing them the race. So hopefully nobody here is going to be making those mistakes. Again, Act 5 is kind of one of the races where XP gets a little bit tricky around that level 28, 30, 31 level, because you're still going to be looking to get 35, 36. But you're not running lab. And actually, speaking of lab, maybe some might in a race like this one.
Yeah. I was talking to Zai, who's the organizer of the race. Thank you, Zai. You did an excellent job. Earlier, and he said that he does think there's going to be some people going for lab, some people ascending, just probably doing just normal lab or something. But he also thinks that the people who do that won't win. So he doesn't seem to
Oh,
think it's the correct strategy.
oh man, yeah. I really do wonder, in general, what kind of classes people are going to be picking. Uh, Shadow, Templar, Witch. I don't think we're going
Yeah,
to be seeing a
from those.
whole lot of melee. Well, I do wonder if it's mostly down to personal preference, or if we're going to be seeing some sort of pattern of, yeah, if you pick, I don't know, Templar, maybe go Inquisitor, maybe you get that extra attack and cast speed, use something like Sheer Charge. Do you think we're going to be seeing mobility skills?
It's so, if you're in the top left of the tree, it is really snappy to go flame dash and pick up those cooldown reduction nodes over in the top left. So I think if it's going to be at all costly to you, in terms of like time investment to get a functioning shield charge to the point where it feels competitive, I don't think we'll see people do that. In a
Hmm.
longer race, one of the 80 or 85 races, for sure, because that shield charge is going to pay you dividends once you get into maps and you have the repeatable movement skill and you can outpace flame dash. But the time invested into becoming an inquisitor to make shield charge be good might just not be worth it over killing Kitava faster.
Mm, yeah, I think so. I think so as well. But in the past, we have seen a little bit. I think one of the players that we are going to be showcasing is Camel, another organizer of one of the more popular PoE racing series. And he frequently comes up with really interesting strategies. So I wonder if that could be one of the picks, or if he's gonna go with something more standard. Because lately we've been seeing him with a lot of kind of meme strats, but that was primarily because he was participating in the races that he was organizing. So obviously it would look a little weird if he claimed the prize.
True. Yeah, maybe we've been seeing Camel at like half power up until
Yeah.
now, and now that he's competing in a race that doesn't have his name on it, he can finally take the training weights off and unleash his full power on it, and not play Shock Nova. Though you've been playing it recently, Shock Nova seems okay. It
Oh
seems
yeah.
all right.
Yeah.
I should stop bad mouthing it.
As much as we say that it's kind of a meme strategy, Camel did end up doing extremely well in that race. So
Yeah.
it's pretty viable. And like, again, it's in an SSF environment. So if you can pull that off, you're playing on Trade League, maybe more people should be playing Shock Nova, Get on that Mathel guide and start killing some mobs. But we will be starting shortly, like I mentioned, 4 minutes. We'll be booting up the player cams just so we can start having an idea of who's going to be starting off with what and what kind of business they're going to be planning, if they're going to be muling and whatnot. So let us switch on over. And so far, we'll be starting off with Camel, Terence, Carvaroscu, and Dr. Dexter in the bottom right. We'll be seeing just shortly, as they will be creating their characters at the start of the race, what kind of ideas they've got for this one. I'm very surprised though that Xai did talk about the Ascendancy not being the right pick. Very interesting. I do wonder if we were to have the return of the Gladiator, possibly, then if you were to switch up the explosion node with the previous node, if that could potentially mean a return of the melee racing meta. I think many would like to see that.
I would love to see it too. Do you think that it is so simple though, the difference? Like
Yeah.
it's made by just an ascendancy change?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
Gladiator was always the one to carry the melee racing, so
Oh yeah, I'm not
I would like to
disagreeing
see
that
it.
Gladiator like wouldn't be the correct choice if you were to go duelist melee, but more that going duelist melee over some of the options has more problems than just, the ascendancy of choice. But I would love to be wrong on that front. I really would.
Yeah, the mobility granted by melee has shown in the past that it can be very effective, especially recently with Leap Slam being significantly smoother than what it was before. But would it be enough? Would be tough. I think if Camel is listening, maybe he hasn't practiced it, but he's got a challenge on his hands. I think everybody would like to see some melee action. I do hear a little bit about also how we are going to have a blast from the past. One of the old school racers of Path of Exile who used to really dominate the scene, Crame, might actually be participating in this race, although with what seems to be not a whole lot of practice.
Educate me, Raiz, because I think that might have been before my day. I started playing back in warbands. Crane, what's he like
Crame.
as a racer? What should we be looking out for?
Crame
Distinguishing features.
Yeah, Crame the daddy crab. He was an extremely dominant Templar player even before the melee racing meta. So back when casters and Firestorm would reign supreme, and yeah, he would really pull out times. He was basically the TIE 23 of his time, although that was already back in the season races. So he would frequently place rank 1 in those seasonal points, which took a whole lot of effort and a lot of winning of a lot of races.
That was back when the race events were held within the client and were like a daily or weekly. That's
Yeah.
pretty neat. I mean, TIE 23 of his time is pretty high praise considering TIE's recent performance.
Yeah, he was completely dominant for sure. He would destroy his competition. So it would be cool to see some funky stuff out of him. Again, we'll keep you guys updated as to the ladder, and we'll be frequently probably updating the player list, seeing how everything goes. Are we started? I think we started. Camel's not even playing.
Yeah, Camel's doing a practice run. I don't know if he's gotten the memo yet, but Carve and Dexter are both on the beat. My cam is not correctly loading Terrence at the moment.
Allow me to refresh that for you. If you do have problems, just click on the window, and it should remove the issue. As we have had some updates from Mugve, who has been significantly improving the quality of our racing stuff, and he is the person behind the tool that we're using for racing. So thank you very much, Mugve. Special shout out to him. Camel finally decides to relog.
Maybe he is still playing at 50% power.
Yeah, maybe maybe now he took the weights off, but before he was kind of beaming around. Terrence seemed a little bit surprised as well, starting his timer later, and therefore Carve in the lead on a shadow, and I think he's the first person to reach level 2. Nice. So far,
I expect a number of these shadows are going to be mules here, because I think we're going to see way more Templars and Witches than shadows as far as actually approaching the Act 10 kill.
Okay, so you think that they're possibly checking vendors, trying to get movement speed boots, a blue green wand, and getting that juicy explosive trap for some Templar action. Okay. Terrence is on a Templar though, so we'll see. Maybe he's not even planning to use a explosive trap at all, or he's going to be relogging twice, which is already a huge amount of time lost. Hopefully that's not going to be the case.
Hey, I can see Terrence now. Yay.
Hey, there you go. That's fantastic. So far, nobody's had movement speed boots from the looks of it. Like we mentioned, Carve in the bottom left has relogged, and he will be playing a Templar, while Terrence actually progresses. Interesting. No relog for him. No need for an explosive trap.
It's going to cost him mostly like really early on, up until say the Vol Oversoul is where I think that remains as like extremely relevant for getting that pre-burst on the Oversoul, for getting the damage onto like Brutus. It allows you to skip through the Weaver in Act 2. I don't know how he's going to compensate for that single target loss. It is going to slow his early few acts pretty significantly.
Interesting.
Unless, he's just forgotten and he'll remember in Mule in a few moments.
And possibly so. Maybe he's also giving everybody else a head start. Maybe it's like some sort of super strategy. Maybe he's running to lower submerged, okay, getting Holy Flame Totem. It's a Holy Flame Totem Mule, and then he's switching over to a Shadow and playing a Shadow. Boom. 200 IQ. That's a really old school PoE strat where people would actually do that, because Flame Totem was by far the best way to level. And recently there's been a lot of talk about Flame Totem in general being pretty useful in those early stages, despite the fact that it doesn't grant Onslaught. I wonder if some of these guys are going to be using that.
I've seen it used as like a single target additive kind of thing. So not really your main skill, but you'll throw it down because you have the spare socket, you get the gem anyway, you're playing Templar. It's pretty easy to do. Once or twice I've seen it, but it's certainly not the old glory days when it was the de facto best leveling skill.
Which is a little bit unfortunate for those Totem fans, but it is what it is. Camel picking up a different pair of boots, not movement speed from the looks of it, as he continues to check the vendor. Terrence already having entered lower submerged and picked up the waypoint, heading on over through the tidal island for that Quicksilver flask. And from the looks of it, he's running a little fast.
I mean, this is the part where if you didn't mule a Shadow, you are going to be ahead. You didn't have to get that explosive trap. You didn't have to get 2 people into town. But the difference maker is going to be whether or not he can kill off Brutus, and whether or not he can kill off Merveil, and all of these bosses that are coming up in the next few acts nearly as quickly without access to that tool.
Yeah, and it's especially interesting that it is Terrence specifically, as he is one of the players who has recently gotten into PoE racing, but he's had some really good showings as he continues to go through the zone after having killed Hellrake. Terrence, what is the plan? Oh, he's looking to get a level. He
Okay.
wants the level so that he can check the vendors again. So every time you leveled up, you can check your vendors, and there's gonna
Yeah.
be a possibility of getting, well, in his case, some sort of weapon, most likely, as he does have movement speed boots from the looks of it. Unfortunately, no, 2 blue wands, which is helpful, but in these early stages, you really want the blue green. Although he does have it on his boots. Blue green boots, and he's got movement speed on him.
I was about to say, yeah, those boots are like,
Uh-oh.
I mean, they're not quite the dream, because if you get the wand, then there's some possibility that you like can, go into the +1 gems wand, and that's never going to happen with the boots. But still, you don't complain about that. Carve has his links in his boots as well, but he didn't have the
Mm-hmm.
luxury of getting movement speed on them. So it's actually going to be kind of awkward for him if he doesn't find another 3-link with decent colors, but he does find a pair of move speed boots, because he'll have to make the decision: do I use a 3-link or do I use movement speed?
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. Terran's picking up Frost Blink and that Orb of Storms using Magma Orb and Holy Flame Totem. Again, very interesting choices, as he is one of the guys who has been practicing a lot. So if there's somebody who's possibly going to be coming up with some new combinations of abilities to boost himself through the early game, it would be him. And the fact that he's not using Explosive Trap, I do wonder if that's going to help him out. Does Templar get Blade Vortex? Maybe that's what he's looking for.
I
I'm not
don't recall off the top of my
100%.
head. I wouldn't, but I can look that up really quickly.
Well, it is quite the massive meme. Blade, green gems and Templar. I don't think so, but in the past, yeah, Blade Vortex was a really good way of dealing single target at level 12. So,
Templar does not get access to it. Duelist, Templar, and Marauder do not. Everyone else does.
Yes, well, rather interesting choices then. We're gonna have to wait and see if it pays off. A lot of density
I
for
did mention
too.
earlier, the Holy Flame Totem can be nice for helping out with single target, but can be nice isn't the same as insta phases Weaver, which
Yep.
explosive trap plus a war banner or something like that definitely will. And
And
it's surprising.
And it's not a big cost either to mule something like that, as Templar, as Shadow does have one of the fastest mule speeds, if not the fastest. I think Ranger maybe is faster, but you can cut it under a minute if you do it really quickly. So, well, again, hopefully it's going to pay off. A lot of blue packs for Terex. Dr. Dexter getting a little bit lost on the ledge, but he finds a space, picks up a chromatic. Yeah, it can be a very complex layout every now and then. You get that big essence on a corner, and you're just kind of like, ooh. Well, Dr. Dexter picks up alchemy. I like that look of that filter.
I got excited about it too for a second. It's just, there's something built into the back of your brain after you play enough Path of Exile. You see that white-red color outline, and you just go, ooh, yep. Shiny.
Yeah, that looks good. Quandrix so far, the first player we are not showing so far. Maybe we're going to be switching over soon. The first player to enter the lower prison, and also the first player to get level 8. Really solid performance from him, but Terrence is shortly behind, having to struggle a little bit with what seems to be a static shrine next to the boss. That is a lot of mobs.
So many enemies.
Wow, yeah. That's packed, especially in such a weird spot where you can't get around it in any way at all.
I mean, it did get him a larger amount of XP than I guess you'd usually expect going through this zone. It was a little close there at 1 or 2 points, drop below half.
Yeah, that was definitely very close. Pack, the first player to enter upper prison, so very, very fast. Carve falling a little bit behind.
Camel.
Oh, Camel dropping low, not good.
I think he had like maybe 20 hit points or less. That
yeah,
was close.
And that can be the tricky part at this early stage, where you want to be picking up that evasion and armor gear, where typically you won't change up that much in the latter stages unless you've got a lot of it. But here early on, not getting hit by mobs, not getting stunned is going to make a massive difference. So if you don't have that gear, you can drop quite low. But in the case of such an experienced player as Camel, I think he's got everything under control, and he knows exactly what he's doing. That was a calculated HP loss.
A little bit of good luck for Carve. He finds a 3 blue wand. So now if he needs to switch off of those boots, he does have an option to switch. It was bothering me in the back of my mind. I felt secondhand anxiety for him. Oh, he had a 2 blue green wand in his inventory anyways. Okay, cool. I am curious as to what are your thoughts on what could have prompted the swap going to Orb of Storms instead of Frost Bomb, which is what Carve is currently using for like the
Hmm.
very early parts of Act 1, Ledge and beyond. Is it just because you want to continue using Orb of Storms later, so you have low econ, you want to get it set up
Camel.
now? Yeah, Camel dropping a bit low there. Or is there actually, because it seems like the Frost Bomb is stronger at this point
Hmm.
in the game. Is it just because of the low econ environment that we're in, and you
Um,
don't have the ability to grab both?
I'm absolutely with you that Orb of Storms just doesn't seem efficient in these early stages. It seems like Frostbomb being able to one-shot mobs, yeah, you've got the delay, yeah, you get to pick up a little bit less gear, but that one-shot capability is just so powerful. Granted, if you do manage to get a +1, 2 levels to lightning levels wand, which most likely is what you're going to be using, you can use that on Orb of Storms early on, but I don't think a lot of these guys have access to it just
That might
yet.
be the difference maker. I mean, if you're planning on making the +1 lightning gems wand for later in the run anyways, because you want to stick with Orb of Storms,
Mm-hmm.
you make it early on and then you have it the whole way through. But as you said, a lot of them don't have that yet.
Mm-hmm. I think so for sure. All right, as Carve is falling a little bit behind, I think he's going to make up a lot of time in these instances. Let's take a look at some of the other players, mainly Quantric, who we didn't quite have an opportunity to show just yet. But he has been seemingly leading the pack, being one of the first players to beat down Brutus and is now heading over to Prisoner's Gate. As we do have Terrence fighting Brutus. That's full screen for some juicy
Oh,
action.
fancy full screen effects.
Ooh.
Doesn't have the explosive trap. I mean,
Nope.
that's costing him in his DPS right now. You would
Mm-hmm.
have had a half health Brutus to start this fight instead of a full health one. And he's gonna be fine. Like I don't. Brutus is for anyone who's an experienced PoE player is one of the fights you've done the most. Probably the boss fight you've done the most.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah. I mean, unless you count Hillock. Is Hillock a boss? Does he count as a boss?
It kind of counts as a boss, but I think also that Brutus is one of the bosses that some people have died to the most. Previously Hellrig, but with the recent changes to animations, he's a lot easier to dodge around. So most people, I think the first hurdle would be Brutus. But with these guys specifically, they're not really looking to have a clean fight. They're looking to get through it as fast as possible instead.
Look at Dexter's flash bar. That man's a lucky man.
Oh, wow. 2 Quicksilvers. Okay. Yeah, and we haven't seen that previously, so most likely it's above item level 5, therefore it can roll adrenaline, which would be a huge boost to his clear.
On top of that, he's also the one who got the alchemy orb. He's going to be able to make a rare item. He's got
Mm.
some incredibly good luck.
Mm.
Consolation for anyone in chat. I know that one of the major complaint. Oh, we have Camel doing the Brutus fight right now, so we might want to zoom in there. But
Let's check out
oh,
Camel, as he does not
Camel,
have...
careful.
Oh, he does have explosive traps, so let's see how much
Yeah,
faster this could potentially be. He didn't precast
he
too
did,
well.
but he
He has no
precasted,
mana.
but Brutus didn't walk onto them.
Oh, yeah, and he
So
has no
yeah,
mana either. Has to TP out.
lost
Ugh.
all that mana investment.
Okay, yeah, we were going to showcase how clean a explosive trap Brutus kill can be, but unfortunately for Camel, things didn't quite go according to plan, and it ended up taking, I think, even longer than what Terrence's fight looked like.
Yeah, we didn't catch the very start of Terrence's, but at the very worst, it was like as long a fight. So explosive trap does require a little bit of finesse and sometimes cooperation on the boss's part. Because Brutus decided, no, I'm not going to walk towards you. I'm just going to hook you immediately. And when that happens, I don't know if you really have the opportunity to even pre-stack.
Yeah, I think so for sure. It can be quite tricky. Again, these guys are trying to save as much time as possible, and that's the primary driving force. But still, oh, Quantric has Fireball, and it's linked as well. Very
Neat.
interesting.
And Holy Flame Totem. This is exciting.
Yeah, maybe
We're
he's
seeing
going.
actually quite a bit of Holy Flame Totem. Camel's got it going too.
Yeah, we're seeing that from everybody so far. And Quantric, again, one of those players who does not have explosive trap. Uh, but difference in strategy is that, yeah, Terrence is primarily using Magma Orb, while Quantric now the first player, I do believe, to fight Merville. Let's check out how his fight goes without those explosive traps. Will it be enough damage? A little bit sluggish, but she's going down. I
Yeah.
think it might be paying off.
Holding on to that banner charge, maybe for the second phase, maybe just too concentrated on other stuff, hasn't realized. There it is, bursting out the second phase, waiting till she was in one spot for a while to use it to get the most out of the adrenaline.
Yeah, but this is a big difference. I mean, most of the time, you're going to be killing Merville instantly on the second phase with just those explosive trap casts and the banner that gives you 100% increased damage. But with that being said, Pack is actually the first player to enter Southern Forest, which means that he was the first player to defeat Merville. But it's pretty close so far, pretty tight between all of these guys.
Terrence is on his Mervale fight as well, with Magma Orb of Storms, and his Totem rolling. No banner for Terrence. Actually, I think, yeah, the only one on the screen right now lacking one. Maybe just a misstep early on, or I'm not sure.
I think he was getting quite a bit of gems. I saw him go back to town after he's entered Submerged, so it seems like he forgot something. Maybe he ran out of Wisdom Scrolls, decided to pick up something else. And in the end, yeah, due to all that confusion, he forgot the he forgot the banner, and yeah, it is what it is. But nonetheless, takes down Merville in a pretty classy fight. We've got Dr. Dexter also now fighting Merville, dropping low, no flasks for him. Not even Quicksilver manages to get into the second phase, refreshes his flasks. And it's looking pretty good.
Portal scrolls. I mean, I'd imagine. Well, you don't want to waste the time you have before the second phase comes up to like drop banner and do as much damage as possible. So I guess he's just relying on that last mana flash charge. Might be a little awkward here to finish her off. Yeah, he's kind of having to stand around and just hang out with Mervale for a little bit. Oh yeah, no portal scrolls. Oh, that's a bad feeling. I can empathize for him right here.
Yeah, that's gonna be quite painful.
Feeling. There we go.
Yeah, finally ends up dropping it. Does get rewarded with a pair of what seems to be rare boots. Some potential for movement speed there.
Hope for his sake they are, to make up for the pain at the end of that Mervale fight.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and you guys can see in the corners of the stream, the API does take a little bit to update, but you can see the levels and the sort of class that these players picked, and we're seeing all Templars so far. Not a lot of witch action. We'll be checking out the ladder just shortly as we wait for Camel to finish off his exciting Merville fight, and we'll most likely be switching him out for Pack, who is leading the pack.
And just so chat is aware, this race did have a prerequisite of entry of needing to be able to stream your gameplay, so we will be able to view and stream any of the racers, which I know is one of the complaints that people have had with previous races. So
Camel again running into mana problems. No more mana, has to wait. Finally gets his flask back, doesn't click it. Waits for the Orb of Storms. Camel, he really wants to prolong his... He heard it. He was like, oh, okay, they're going to switch me out after the Merville fight, so I'm going to take as long as possible to stay on the screen. Come on, Camel, you can't be pulling out dirty tricks like that. Get him out of here.
He's going for that Stormbrand, though. Maybe we see somebody stick with the Stormbrand.
Okay, no, we're going back then.
Over, but we'll go back to him eventually.
We'll go back. Yeah.
Hawk, meanwhile, has Arc. So the strategy, what's the word I'm looking for here? The strategy spearheaded by Havoc in the last Act 5 race, showing up again. Oh, that's some Flame Dash tech I ain't seen before. That was cool.
Yeah,
you can dash through that.
Yeah, you can totally dash through that, and as much as it's not too useful here, you do get to Fidelitas a little bit faster. What's especially useful about this is that you can use it in Act 6, where you don't have to go all the way around that Fidelitas device, and that's super spicy.
There was also a red beast there that had him cornered, and so he couldn't go the left route without potentially dying to the giant red Roa. So the Flame Dash allowed him to escape unharmed.
Yeah, that definitely has paid off. We do have some rips and some close calls that we're going to be showing you guys in just a little bit as soon as we get some dead space. We do want to see how these guys are doing. So maybe with our new technology, again, granted by Mukfei, thank you very much, we can show you guys that so far the ladder should be looking like it's not loading. But it will at some point. Okay, we'll get into that. Possibly this is the issue on my end. But we go back to Dr. Dexter. Jibeta chat. I'm sorry. Okay.
Havoc is currently sitting at rank 3 with the character name No Practice Havoc because he joined the race at last minute and wasn't planning to race until literally 20 minutes beforehand. But he's putting up a good performance nonetheless.
Yeah, it didn't seem like he was planning on it, but he saw the hype, he saw the excitement, couldn't resist it, and he gets into it. And so far, yeah, like you mentioned, he's been doing pretty well. So
he's actually our only witch in the top 5. The rest of which are Templars.
Ooh, that's very interesting. Yeah, Havoc definitely always going against the grain. He is the qualifier from the most recent Path of Exile organized, GGG organized race. So I think a lot of pressure on him, a lot of expectations. Will he be able to win another race back to back? Be very interesting. Although he didn't quite win that race. Ty23 did, who, as there is a requirement to stream this race, I don't believe is participating in this one. But Havoc and also Leaf, another qualifier who is playing, are the two next best things I think that we've got going on.
And a bit of feel-good news for anyone who didn't hear. Havoc had already bought and paid for accommodations and a trip to New Zealand before winning the race. So he spoke with Grinding Gear Games and was able to hand off the accommodation and trip to New Zealand that he won as part of the qualifier to, I believe, the next person in line, who was Killer, who's also going to be able to go. So that's pretty darn cool.
I think so as well. That is actually very cool of all the parties involved, and I'm sure Killer is extremely happy about that outcome. And these guys, so far, Pack has taken down Weaver. No explosive trap for him either, as he is preparing for that level 16 for the Wave of Conviction. And as soon as he's going to be able to use it, his single target should go up significantly. But also in the bottom left, Quantric is in a zone that is very unfamiliar to the people who will not ascend. Yeah, he's doing a trial.
All right. We might see shield charge happen then, like you're talking about earlier, because if you ascend, I imagine you're ascending and becoming an Inquisitor. Because that seems like the most value out of a single ascension, and I don't think we're going to see anyone do Cruel Lab.
I know. He's going Ancestral Bond, Hierophant, Holy Flame Totem.
All right, I'm going to hold you to that.
Let's check out Terrence, as he is struggling a little bit with Weaver without that explosive trap. I don't know, so far from the looks of it, honestly, the explosive trap can still help even past level 16 when you get Wave of Conviction. That extra vendor, the extra checkup on movement speed boots, honestly, I feel like the explosive trap is totally worth it. You're betting on a lot of RNG, a lot of things going well for you without it. With vendoring, and also the fights are they don't just take longer, but they're also much more difficult, and you don't want to be seeing rips, as some of these guys have fallen so far. And again, this is not a softcore race, this is not a 60-second penalty race like the previous qualifier. This is a hardcore race, so if you die, you're out.
We're starting over, but that's as good as out, even at this point, potentially, considering the scope of the race only being an Act 10. Maybe if it were an 80 race or something, you could die in the first couple acts and still have the room to come back and place top 3 or something, but it's too tight a timer to do that now. Pak, though, also without the explosive trap, taking on Oak here, and the defining thing that we've seen, the trend between the bosses that we're seeing with all these players not picking up explosive trap is how quickly and easily they run out of mana and then have to sit there awkwardly for a couple seconds.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, and in the meanwhile, the first player to enter caverns already. That is very fast. Is that Havoc? Oh my god.
Practice Havoc. I think I saw the name. Yeah. We could
Okay.
bring a witch onto screen here. Get a little bit of class diversity.
Well, there will be a lot of differences in how these guys are going to be running acts. I do remember from the qualifier that Havoc was one of the players who didn't actually run his bandits prior to getting into the caverns, only when he picked up the waypoint. So it might seem like he's pretty far ahead, but I'll bet you he hasn't done bandits yet. And many of these guys have already not just done trials, but also in the case of Quantric, he's now fighting Creighton and trying to get... Ooh, and already being level 16, that much smoother than his previous single target endeavors. And the same goes for Terrence, who is fighting with Oak, who's currently spamming his endurance charges, prolonging the fight. He really did not want to go down at all. Got Dr. Dexter heading over to the waypoint, picking it up, getting 2 Western Forests, which indicates that he has not just dealt with Oak, but also with Creighton. So he's going to be helping out Alira. Well, running into a little bit of desync. There you go. I still want to see the Creighton help, but I don't think we're
Alira
getting
is
it.
so multi-purpose. Like the res is super important later. The mana regen is really impactful right now. I was mentioning earlier how running out of mana in these boss fights is one of the biggest gates to being able to complete them like cleanly. And a couple points of flat mana regen goes a long way. And then it's also damaged. Like, yeah, they need to change Creighton. They do.
But movement speed, Octavian, come on, man.
But not dying. Can't run very quickly if you're dead, right?
Yeah, I was a little surprised that nobody really went for it in the Act 5 races. In Act 10, I get your point. I get where you're coming from. Living, you know.
But res. And even in the Act 5 race, the res is so good.
You don't need resistance if you don't get hit.
To get res from you.
Yeah, but if you don't get hit, you don't need resistances.
Good argument. You got me there.
You don't get stunned. You don't die. Like, come on, man. Yeah. Think about it.
Don't take damage. If your hit points never drop below 0, you'll never die.
And that is my point exactly. But I don't think anybody's going to be doing that. So you're completely right. Everybody seems to be going for the Alira kill. I don't think we're going to be seeing anybody utilizing the crit, although having that little bit of extra multiplier in case somebody goes for maybe some sort of totem strategy or isn't using elemental overload for whatever reason, that could do it.
Yeah, in the scope of a smaller race, yeah, we wouldn't see anyone transfer over to crit. But the rest of the pieces of the Buffalo will be used.
But it's extremely close between these guys. Apparently, we do have an update that the ladder is up. So let us take a quick look. Fortunately, removing Dr. Dexter for just a second. And so far, these are the standings of the players. Do keep in mind that the XP per hour does change a lot. So don't look into it too much. With Havoc being the first player, Pack being second, Quantic being third, Dr. Dexter fourth, and X Leaf fifth at only level 16. So actually a lot more disparity here. Oh, and just like that, we get an update from the API and everything seems to be much closer. Havoc, Pack, Camel, Quantric, and Keldorn kicking out Leaf out of the top 5. Ooh, Leaf doesn't seem to have the best of races so far.
The tool is only showing account names, but I thought just, to make sure that it's known from Camel, since he's not the first one into these zones, so his name isn't getting announced. Camel did take the time to name his character Suck It, Raiz Chat. So just so your chat is aware of where Camel stands. I'm just the messenger, man. Don't shoot me.
Unbelievable. I take it back. I hate Stormbrand, and Camel is never being shown again. That's a naughty boy if I've known one. Oh man. All right, let's I think we had Terrence, excuse me. I keep calling him Terex, the Ranger, old school Ranger player, but no, Terrence is a nice guy, unlike Terex. So despite that, we are going to be switching him out for Havoc. Let's see how he's doing as he is leading the pack
as a witch, and we haven't seen a witch yet.
No witches, cool. Yeah.
Probably still going to be using like Wave of Conviction, Arc, Orb of Storms. I'm imagining those will be involved in some capacity. Maybe Stormbrand, but Havoc was the one who pioneered the Arc shenanigans. So
we do need a little bit more time to show you guys Havoc, unfortunately, as he is not showing. Maybe a little bit of an issue from Twitch. So you're staying in for just a little bit longer, Terrence. We're for sure not switching him out for.
I think Leaf is our next witch player if we did just want to get a witch onto the stream at some point.
Oh, Leaf. Oh yeah. You did mention that. Let me keep checking. You keep talking, Octavian. You keep talking.
I can talk. That's
running into some technical issues right now.
Pock is starting off his Vol Oversoul fight, but he's remarkably low on mana flask charges. He gets a few from the first wave. All right. There's no need for him to be scared. Speaking of the first wave, though, he didn't kill it quite quickly enough to keep the Vol Oversoul around and kicking, which is a shame. Does mean he has to wait a few extra seconds, but it looks like he's got the rhythm down now. The Arc actually helping out quite a bit with that, chaining off the boss and causing the Orb Storms to proc over and over again and just giving him tons of coverage, and there you go. Almost clean. We'll call that like a 9 or an 8 out of 10 on the fight.
Yeah, that was definitely, as you described it, almost clean. But still one of the first players to enter Act 3 nonetheless, with Havoc leading at that level 21. Levels are quite important in Act 3 as you want to get level 28 seemingly as soon as possible, despite not always killing all the mobs, being efficient, as getting the Lightning Spire Trap surely pays off. Ooh, a lot of nice strats from Pack, moving away from Clarissa as she really takes her time to stand up. Come on, Clarissa, it's time to go, right? Can't be waiting. And he kills some extra packs around her. No problem.
And I don't remember whether or not that ring dropped from one of those extra packs or not, but yeah, maybe he was rewarded. At the very least, rewarded with XP.
Let's check out Terrence real quick as he is preparing for the Vol fight. We want to see the power of that Wave of Conviction. Let's see if he can get it down. No Arc.
Yeah. So whether or not, without the Arc, he may have a more difficult time chaining kills onto the trash that spawns.
Yeah, it might be. Hopefully it's not going to be as tricky. Unfortunately, he does get an ad spawn. Oh, no, just in the proximity.
No, but the Orb Storm's timed out. He didn't have the time to recast it again.
Yeah, I do believe he got stunned there by one of the Vol constructs, and he wasn't quite able to get it. Sometimes Vol will spawn the ads really far away from you, so it's pretty much impossible to do it with Orb of Storms, but in this case, it was a player mistake. And he's not even going for the ads. Oh, just barely doesn't get it.
I think he overestimated his damage. He thought he could kill it before it mattered.
But
he was real close, too.
Ooh. Does get rewarded with a rare ring, apparently. Getting a little bit of a comeback mechanic here, as we can see. But with that, Terrence, thank you very much for your contribution, and we will be switching him out.
Dexter and Quantric are both. Quantric actually just finished up his fight. Everybody's rolling through the Oversoul at the same time. Dexter looks like he didn't get the first minion phase, 100% cleared. But actually, an interesting thing about Dexter's setup right now is how much mana reservation he's got going on. Is he running just a whole bunch of Heralds, probably? He had like maybe 10% of his mana left over. 15 at most.
Yeah, so far mana management in general, this race has been pretty tricky for everybody. A lot of people are running into issues, but not Havoc, who does have 2 Quicksilvers. Obviously, although we have seen some no White Beast runs, which is where you get your second Quicksilver in the recent races, but it didn't seem to pay off. But in the case of Havoc, yeah, he's got that Grand Mana Flask, which is super good for recovery. It's got a lot of uses, much better than the level 12 variant. And a lot of times, actually, you're going to be seeing people with a level 6 large flask over a level 12, as a level 12 only has 2 charges. And Havoc is not seeing any mana issues. Hopefully, I mean, we haven't watched him yet. Maybe keep your eyes peeled for that, require additional pylons or being supply blocked or whatever you want to call it in the PoE equivalent.
My favorite is Marauder, because he's so straightforward with all his voice lines. I cannot hold that. I am out of. He just says the thing. All the other ones have some spicy way of putting it, some clever writing. Marauder, it fits his character. He just tells you what's on his mind. It's great.
Yeah, if you ever sat on the I'm not sure if it actually does that anymore. I don't think so. The old character selection screen in Path of Exile actually was just Marauder standing there and bashing himself in the head with a huge mace. So I think he might have
club. I think it was.
Yeah, I think he might have hit himself a couple times too many, and they simply gave up on his voice lines. And this is the result. I mean, it works.
That's in character, man. I think it's correct. I'm not trying to fault him for it. It's just the way that he works. He's very good at what he does. What he does isn't necessarily eloquent. Well, what he does is hit people hard.
Yeah, well, that's well described. I think a lot of players, being Marauder or not, are looking to hit things hard and fast. I'm trying to pay extra attention here to Quantric, who is one of the players who was completing those trials. If he is going to be looking for it, yeah, he's going for it. There you go.
He's already done the quest in the zone, so an interesting thing as well, his passive tree pathing is a little bit different. He hasn't actually quite finished out the Dark Arts wheel yet, and I believe Havoc and Pock both have a little while ago. So lagging behind on getting the Flame Dash cooldown recovery, but maybe just wanted some more damage investment, or even going for those 2 nodes into like attack speed and dex and stuff for stat requirements. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and that wheel in general is a pretty large investment altogether, because usually you will be getting the entire wheel. Interesting, actually, Havoc gets an Arcanist in Solaris. In the previous race, he was running past all of them. He actually had 2 or 3 Arcanist boxes that he ran past, driving me and Ziggy almost insane.
Is the difference between a 5 and a 10 race?
Yeah, but this time, like you said, the difference makes it a viable pickup, and he does end up getting the XP and those additional currencies. And I think one of them was even an alchemy orb, so that's going to be super useful. He does have a fusing and 7 transmutes in his inventory. This guy's not going to have any issues trying to get a instant life flask. I do wonder, however, if he's going to be going for the level 30 flask, or maybe the level 42 flask that should be lasting you all the way until the end of the race. Destroying a chess piece, not equipping it, and that's what you're going to be seeing out of a lot of these guys. They are not using chess pieces. They do not care for the defense. Yeah, but well, it can pay off if you get a good enough chess piece and you're not getting stunned, you're not getting hit. It can absolutely pay off, but the 3 or 5% movement speed difference, it might make all the difference, almost as much as picking up Kraton as a bandit. I'm still yet to see the day, but I'm looking forward to it. I bet Camel picked it up,
There's plenty of room in the racing scene for a Kraton picking competitor, Raiz. If you want to get back into it, if you want to dust off the world.
I'm too old.
And get off the caster dead. You can bring some of these spicy strats to the big screen.
I love how you're calling me out, Octavian, but unfortunately, I do think there's a level limit, an IRL level limit on this racing stuff, and I have exceeded it. Being 47 years old, I can pretty much only cast now. But you being of the youth, maybe you should try some of that.
Turning it around on me.
Yeah.
I'll do some Kraton run strats.
Okay. Serving the Path of Exile community.
Was that only 2 busts in Havoc's inventory there?
Did he miss one? I'm not 100%. He might not just simply care about it. I'm currently hypnotized by the acceleration shrine from Pack bursting through the docks. Really going fast. Ooh, but also dropping low real fast as well. Not a whole lot of gear, not a whole lot of fire resistance, and those fire dogs don't deal as much damage as they used to back in the shotgunning days, but still it doesn't take a whole lot.
Looking for, he just got the Thaumatic Sulfite, actually. Is he just wanting another level here? He's very close. That's got to be it.
Yeah, he only now hits level 24, so that's actually very interesting. Being level 23, you only get about 60% experience from Doc, so if he would have continued to drop below, that would have really hurt him.
Did he not acquire the Sulfite? Was I looking at the wrong screen? Havoc definitely did.
No, I think he's got it.
I have to have misunderstood.
No, I think he's just getting levels, no? Again,
Possibly.
23 is very low. You're going to be running into problems already in Lunaris. And if he's not doing lab, then he's going to have to run aqueducts. He's going to have to kill extra mobs and try to like do something to get the level 30 or level 31. And just like that, yeah, Pack ends up logging out after picking up the last blue pack of the dog zone. So it was just an XP issue. And that's why maybe he was leading so far in this race, because he was simply not killing as much stuff as he should have been.
Yeah. Docs just seemed like a strange choice, but maybe it was just a matter of convenience being the zone that you that he happened to be in at the time when he was at a deficit and it was most severe. So he decided, I'll just stop here. There's no point in going to a new zone. I already
Yeah.
have monsters. Let's kill this. It's fastest. Because Docs wouldn't have been my first choice in that situation, given being a side zone, it is even higher level than the zones it's connected to by a pretty wide margin. I think a couple levels above. So if there's an XP penalty, it's going to be even more severe. But I think
Yeah.
it was just a matter of convenience.
I think simply because of the blue mobs, the level 23 is still efficient. A lot of the times in the past, people would be entering that zone at that level. But the problem is in Barracks and in Lunaris, those zones are of equal level, but they're not as good until you get to Lunaris 2, which is level 30 zone. So then you kind of make up for it. Pack run past Gravicious. He's not going for the flamethrower trap. Suspicious. He's gonna have to run library for the lightning spire trap, or possibly for both.
That, if he doesn't end up doing that, which I don't even think that's kind of unthinkable. Like not going for the lightning spire or the flamethrower trap.
No. I think he's just gonna be doing library. It's pretty standard with Templar.
Reason to do library, then, right?
No, not necessarily.
Seems way more convenient.
Yes, but Templar doesn't get lightning spire, so he would only have access to flamethrower trap.
You don't get lightning spire as Templar from. Okay, that explains it then. Yes.
We're having a short update from the ladder. Havoc in the lead, Pack being second. You can see him in the top left, and Fightgar really zoomed through another old school racer, kind of specialized in that melee racing that we were talking about before. But it seems like he's changed his specialization, being in the top 3, Quantric being 4th, and Leaf being 5th. Maybe we're going to be switching on over to Fightgar to have an idea of how the race is going for him so far. Let us see. Havoc picking up another transmute. Nice and spicy. Fightgar, ooh! Entering Solaris Temple, so pretty far behind, having the levels. Again, he is an NA player. Ooh, Pack dropping low as well in the top left. But he is an NA player, and they are known for especially being an old school NA player, for just kind of over leveling. Oh, Pack is dead.
Oh no.
Pack, no. Pay attention to the top left. Pack dropping low.
For Havoc, who's the one pushing right above him. But I think this is too far in. Again, if this were like an 80 race or something, maybe we could see another attempt. You're only in act 3, you're only level 20 something. You can maybe make it back in the top 3 or 5. But in act 10 race, this is too much of a deficit. It's almost 40 minutes in.
Yeah. It makes a pretty big difference. Unfortunately, we will be switching him out, but in the meanwhile, let us check out an instant replay from Pack's Rip, as it was pretty quick here. Like we were mentioning, pay attention to the top spikers. Left. He was dropping left.
Spikers.
Yeah. Ooh, he drops low there. Still, oh no, it's a box. It's freeze box.
Freeze and explodes.
Oh my god, does this guy even play this game? Come on, man. How are you gonna die like that?
He might have lived if it weren't for the explosion. The explosion did like a good quarter of his health. Maybe.
Such a good play from Pack, but unfortunately this one mistake ends up being fatal. Doesn't choose to log out, has no time, felt all the pressure from Havoc, and just like that, Pack falls, unfortunately, at the rank 2, which I'm sure Havoc met with a sigh of relief, as he has in the meanwhile taken down Piety and has picked up his skill point, heading on over to Act 2, possibly for some faster casting. But in the meanwhile, we will be switching over Pack to somebody else. We've also got Chip dead, and Dead and Doom died as well, so we're going to be sure to get those replays to you guys any second. This is This is a fiesta of the worst kind. Many have fallen. But Leaf continues to zoom through the content and through the ladder. So we're going to be replacing Pack with him. He has... Is he deleting Path of Exile? What's going on with Leaf?
Hello?
Is that a prompt if he dies in the race? He's just like, delete? Okay. All right, well, interesting strategy for sure. I do want to see some piety kills here. That is one of my favorite things to watch. Ooh, Fightgar struggling with a spirit with a lot of ladies with shooting breasts.
Spikers.
Spikers, yeah. But no, those are the porcupines are spikers.
That's true. It's true. Yeah. Overlap.
We really need to find a PG name for it. I almost feel like calling them by their default name is
a cast appropriate name.
Yeah. Kind of. It's like it's not okay to say those sort of things, but in this one scenario, totally fine. I'm sure you guys can fill in the blanks, but we've got Quantric facing Piety. Let's full screen that. See how that Holy Flame Totem and Wave of Conviction action takes him. Ooh, he takes down
damage right there. Pair of rare boots too.
Takes down the blue portal as well. That was really good. Yeah, nicely done by Quantric. Absolutely, like you mentioned, a lot of damage coming through while Havoc makes his way through the already what I believe to be the upper, possibly the upper.
He's got the quest over.
Oh, there we go.
Where it would say what?
Oh, right.
Oh, there it is. There's the announcement. Upper scepter.
Ooh,
has now opted for the chess piece. At this point, the content's too dangerous to keep going shirtless, and you do need to throw one of those on, even if it costs you a little bit in terms of movement speed.
There you go. What is going on with Leaf? Why is he playing low life? What's happening with his screen? Is he bugged?
Low light. Oh, yeah. I just assumed that was some weird thing with his OBS settings. I don't know. He's got mood lighting on.
Yeah. With Leaf going with a very interesting special strategy for this race, an Act 10 low life kill. His HP seems to be full. I don't know. But just so we get a better idea of what he's looking at, let's full screen him for this Piety fight as he picks up the craft.
Not as smooth as the one we just saw, but Piety's being a bit more cooperative now, standing in the Orb of Storms, and yeah, nothing to really write home about there. Pretty easy.
Wow. As soon as he hit her with the Wave of Conviction, that was so much damage. Dominus already being engaged by Havoc. Let's full screen that as he rapidly... Wait, what? Did he already take down the other phase? That was crazy.
Yeah, first phase down. This is the Blood Goat phase now.
The Blood Goat.
Another Quicksilver.
How did you call it?
Blood Goat. He's a giant goat made of blood.
Oh, Ziggy called it a bunny.
Yeah, well, Ziggy's wrong. I'm sorry, Ziggy.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. I'm with you, Octavian. Whenever I'm gonna be casting with you, I'll agree with the goat. With Ziggy, I'll agree with the bunny. No drama here, guys.
The difference is in the horns. A bunny doesn't have horns. I guess you could look at them as floppy bunny ears, but that's way less menacing.
Yeah, but you could make the argument that it's a fantasy game, you know?
It is, actually. That's not a very difficult argument to make.
Therefore, it can have horns. If you want to have horns, you can have horns. Come on.
Message. I'm glad we could get that on today's show.
Yeah, I did need
Havoc is just zooming along with his arc, by the way. That looks really smooth.
Yeah, the arc definitely looking much better in Act 4 than it was looking in Act 2, I must say. I am still interested to get that update on the ladder at some point where suddenly we see the Stormbrand from Camel being first. But you know what's better than watching peak performance, Path of Exile, racing gameplay?
Watching deaths.
Oh man.
Is that
just like that. Just like that, we're gonna be checking out Dead and Doom's rip that he had in the crematorium. Another box.
Freezes you.
All right. I wish I hadn't seen that. Dead and Doom.
You know what else do you have to say? Freezes you.
Yeah.
Dead.
Dead and Doom
kills you when activated.
Yeah. Dead and Doom a force to be reckoned with usually, but he's kind of been taking it easy with the racing stuff, so he doesn't have as much practice as he used to, and unfortunately, he hasn't been practicing his reading skills either, as that frozen box does take him. That's 2 for 2. I wonder if we can pick a third rip, this time from Chip Idiot, who has 2 rips, by the way. Let's see if he's also back.
I mean, that's a record to hold in the race. He's probably winning in that regard. Ground slam. I'm excited.
Oh no, why did he die then? Oh, it's not a, I mean, technically getting frozen here. With an acceleration shrine as well. Oh, brutal.
Going right back at it though. Like in the same clip as the death, starting another character. I like that. That's resolve.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, if you want to follow up on how his reroll went, I got it ready for you right here.
The other players, the foresight as to what happened to that next character.
We have peered into the future, and it is grim. A little bit choppy here. Oh, it is much more grim than we expected. Another freeze box, guys, because everything seems to be frozen. This one's extra powerful. What an attack.
That beast head freezes you when you walk near it.
Yeah, well, that's a powerful attack indeed. Ooh, let's check out Leaf real quick with the full screen. See how his bunny face kill goes down. Quantric already dealing with the fight, and that's what we would like to see. The flamethrower, beautiful.
I mean, it's so appropriate to the fight too. You know, that lined up on top of the lightning spire trap just looks like some sort of demonic symbol, and you're turning it against the blood go.
I love it. Absolutely. There is a little bit of help from the lightning spire trap. Not as good in my opinion, I would like to point out. But Lightning Spire and Flamethrower Trap going down at the same time. They do not share a cooldown, so you can see both of those being used from the players. And it seems like Leaf is one of the first guys to do it, as Havoc doesn't have that extra Flamethrower Trap. He is a witch, so he does have access to it, chooses not to. We'll see if it ends up paying off while Leaf fiddles around with his gear and tries to make his way through through aqueducts. I keep calling it blood aqueducts. Call me out on that, Octavian, whenever you hear me do it, because this would have been an insane time.
You know, we're going to Act 10 this time, not Act 5. You'll have your moment to shine.
I'll bet I'll call it just aqueducts at that point, and I'm sure Chad will point it out, and you should too. I'll be honest.
Oh, a little nasty there for Havoc, fighting against these doggos in the arena. I think he got double striked by a couple of them in a row. Chunked down to a little below half. I want to commend Leaf on his inventory management there that you mentioned earlier. It was really, really smooth. Well done. You know, moving between every step of the way. It's not the flashiest of skills, but it is a super important one if you want to be competitive in these races. And I do like to, you know, commend people for it now and again when they do it well.
Oh, yeah. And the biggest thing is that it really showcases typically the first thing that you give up on in terms of time management whenever you're racing. If you're panicking, if you're falling behind, if you're not quite on point, it will be that inventory management. So the guys who manage their inventory well, who keep their gear at a respectable power level, those are usually the guys who are the most in control. And despite the fact that they might be behind, as long as they keep their cool, they continue to keep their cool, they come out ahead. So like you mentioned, super important skill to have. It definitely pays off for sure.
Let's see how this is. Yeah, for Fight Guard, the second phase of the Dominus fight here coming up.
Let's check out how that's going to be looking for him as he prepares. And yeah, a little bit of panic there. That cursor going left and right, not quite having the passive points that he's looking to pick up. Hopefully his mana management will be sufficient, as he only had... Oh, Jesus. I was looking at his mana because he's only got 40 mana, and then I looked back and the boss was dead. Come on, man.
I mean, he's the only thing he's doing differently here is he's gone for the Stormbrand instead of the Arc, but the Stormbrand is a 1 link, so that doesn't really account for that much of a damage difference. I think it was just very good layering of every buff. Like, he had the War Banner down, he had the Wave of Conviction debuff, he had all the Lightning Spire traps. That was an example of this leveling setup at like maximum potential output.
Yeah, and what's extra interesting is that Fightgar is the only player that we've seen so far to use Holy Light Herald thing. Herald of Purity.
No, Leaf. He finished this quest in Dried Lake, but he bounced it and then logged. He bounced the quest item, didn't realize his inventory was full, and then like reflexively logged before he had time to realize and pick it up.
Okay, but do keep in mind that it is costly, but not extremely, as they are looking to get as much XP as possible in this stage. If you are not running lab, you will end up under-leveled. So getting the level 31 before you start entering combs and the rest of zones, it matters a lot. And I'm not sure if it's the API not being updated quite yet, but from what we can see, Havoc is only level 31 in a level 38 zone. And even if it would be updated, he would be level 32. That's still some penalty going on right there. It's like 70% XP or so, and he will continue to fall behind, as we have seen him run the Resto zone already. So that's a level 37 zone. He's going to be entering another level 38 zone after this. Tricky stuff.
If he decides to go for a lab, that is a place where he could catch up a little bit, but I don't know if we've seen him do a single trial yet.
Yeah, I don't believe so. Yeah, we only tuned into Havoc's catch-up strats a little bit later. That arc seems to be really paying off. Again, a strategy that he kind of coined for himself, with a lot of people following in his steps, trying to replicate the results that he's had with it so far. But I don't think he's going to be doing lab. We'll see.
Speaking of doing lab, though, Quantric is doing lab.
Nice. Okay, so possibly one of the first players to do so. I'm not sure. Yeah, there we go. We get the updated Aspirants Plaza, so he is actually the first player to do it, and one of the few players to choose to do so. Meanwhile, Havoc uses his Lightning Spire trap to take down Comb pretty much instantly and re-enters the level 38 zone, being level 32 or 33 now. I think he's only level 32. He's going to continue to fall behind. He's going to have to kill a lot more mobs.
Yeah, I mean, he's skipping some sort of XP as well. There was a strong box he just waltzed right by, so he doesn't seem too concerned about the XP difference. We'll see whether or not he takes the time to kill this blue pack here. Yeah, he's definitely going to stop for that. But it might end up becoming an issue for him later, as he's, buying a lead now that he might not be able to pay for eventually.
And we do have the updated levels. So he is level 33, so he's getting max XP. It should be totally fine as long as he's getting enough XP in Act 5. But a player of his caliber will surely just change up his gameplay a little bit. You have Leaf as second, Fightgar third, who we're currently not showing because we're showing the ladder. Quantric fourth, despite the fact that he's now in lab, still doing extremely well on XP, and Camel seems to be zooming with that Stormbrand being the fifth player, with Garata and Terrence shortly behind.
Yeah, commendable to Quantric, who's gone out of his way to do all these trials and is still in the top 5. We'll have to see whether or not the power that he gets out of having done lab is enough to compensate for the difference. He does, of course, have to navigate these traps successfully, which honestly to me is the scarier thing than Azaro in a usual lab run. But this, undergeared and underleveled and underpowered, you are probably more afraid of Azaro.
Yeah, I think so. But having done it enough, hopefully he's going to do well. Maybe he checked out the lab. He thought, all right, well, it's pretty easy, so I might as well do it. It might pay off. He is a really good player, Quantric is. He has participated in the majority of these races and usually comes back with really good results, so surely he knows what he's doing, and a player like him wouldn't fall in lab. Come on, Octavian, have a little faith.
My faith is going to be tested by the fact that he was forced to leave up all of those gargoyles in the second phase. So Zaro is going to have a Quicksilver effect, which is really potentially nasty.
Yeah, I think he's also taking like 50% less damage as well. I mean, that I'm not sure if that's gonna be paying off for him, but maybe. I mean, like
It's
we meant.
faster not to kill him.
Oh,
It's faster not to kill the gargoyles. What
what's
happened? What did we?
what's extra interesting is that I don't see lightning spire trap or flamethrower trap on his setup. So he either has not done library yet, or he's not planning to do it despite being level 30. I mean, we've seen what kind of damage Leaf was pulling out, even with a Curse of Conductivity, not even an elemental weakness with the flamethrower and lightning spire trap combo.
Final fight.
Ooh.
He doesn't have him on the bar, so we'll see how quickly the fight goes without the massive single target tools.
Yeah, this is gonna be sketchy, I think.
He's got the flame totem. That might maybe draw some aggro. There's a single hit from a single projectile, but he does manage to avoid the swipe. Still, though, the gargoyle means that Azaro is just not taking very much damage. As you mentioned earlier, one of the gargoyles gives 30 or 40% reduced damage taken. Still, fight down. Dicier than maybe it needed to be, but fight down.
Yeah, and especially keep in mind that that's with only 600 HP. Usually, most players doing this fight are a lot more comfortable, not only just controlling the fight and doing it slower, but also having about 800 HP. I would imagine 600 leaves a lot of opportunity for Zara to just kind of whack you a couple times too many, and at that point your HP drops to 0, which is the number one thing that we were looking to avoid. He picks up Augury of Penitence.
Yeah, no speed involved in that ascendancy choice, which is what we were anticipating Inquisitor being the reason behind. Like you go Inquisitor for the cast speed, the attack speed to get to the Act 10 more quickly and win. Augury being basically just damage. I mean, it's reduced damage taken too. Nearby enemies deal reduced LE damage.
Look at Fightgar. He's just fighting with a bunch of golems, dropping low constantly. What a battle. But he eventually takes it down. Hopefully that was worth it. Ding's level 33. And that looked a little bit scary. But yeah, like you mentioned, Augury of Penitence, that's 16%. Hopefully it's going to be paying off. It is quite powerful with the amount of penetration that you've got available now. You'll see a lot of people not even picking up the 0 resistance node from Inquisitor nowadays, as you do have access to a lot of that. But for a short race like this, interesting. That speed might have been better, but the shield charge might have been just too much for him to worry about. And meanwhile, Leaf just absolutely decimates Comb. I think
Havoc is onto his Malachi.
Yeah,
it looks like.
That does full screen Havoc. Let's see how it goes for him. Starts up the first phase, goes pretty smoothly. Uses only one lightning spire trap.
I mean, that's about as smooth as it can go right there. Discounting the fact that he dropped a half. It's okay. His hit points were above 0.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
That's all that matters. He is, again, this is an Act 10 race, so these guys are preparing with their resistances, as they will be hit with a pretty big penalty. From the looks of it, he had like about 60 resistances from fire, lightning, and cold, which is all the elements that Malachi actually uses. Tentacles being cold, the other attacks being a combination of fire and lightning.
That was almost 200 IQ strats right there from Havoc. He threw a lightning spire trap, his first one, over onto the heart, and then let it proc, so that he could insta-burst Malachi and then have damage on the heart immediately as well, and skip that phase as quickly as possible. But the lightning spire trap went off like a second too early.
Yeah.
So it didn't work out.
Oh, a little bit unfortunate. He does have those traps limited, as he is only using the lightning spire trap, unlike the other guys using flamethrower. So he has to choose his fight wisely. He has to pick the exact moments when Malachi is not teleporting to burst him down with lightning spire, and does so perfectly. A very clean fight from Havoc. With 680 HP, he's going to be making his way over to Act 5. Nicely done.
Yeah,
pick up a golem.
That was an extremely clean Malachi fight. I mean, it's an adjective we use to describe a lot of the fights from Havoc. Just a clean player in general.
Yeah, definitely so. Super strong player, and even without practice, as he claims, he shows that he's pretty much always on top of his games. Type of guy that you can wake up at 5 a.m., sat it down in front of a computer, tell him play, and he will perform. And he's showing us just that in this event.
To be fair, Acts 1 through 5, he's had plenty of practice on recently.
True,
Because of the
true.
recent race. We haven't entered the no practice land yet. Fightgar, though, as you zoom us in onto him, is getting chunked below 200 there. No life flask charges left on his last one currently running, but it looks like he'll have the damage unless the sword clouds deny him. No? Okay, he's good. He's good. Flesh and Stone probably did a lot of work in that fight.
Yeah, cutting it pretty close there. And calculated encounter from Fightgar ends up working out, but I don't think those are the sort of risks that you can be taking over and over in an Act 10 event. Eventually, it's going to catch up with you, and it being a
Leaf is in
hardcore
the
race,
corridor
not
of
going to be
death
enough.
there. No, he's okay. He's okay. There was a shrine with 1 million of the lightning, the mini orb of mini ball lightning eyeballs. That's what they are. Another shrine, actually. He's found a couple.
An impenetrable shrine and an acceleration shrine doesn't pick it up. Who needs that when you can go fast? Nothing else matters at that point. And the arc really going. That's crazy.
I mean, it looks great with an acceleration shrine.
It's bursting through all enemies.
Maybe it's inflated a little bit here.
Oh, this is going to be extra spicy. Check this one out. If we can zoom in fast enough, the acceleration shrine. Oh, she walks away.
No.
Piety knew.
It's still really good.
Okay. Piety knew all along. She's like, I'm not having any of this shit. I'm out. Walks away. Tries to get on over to the wall. Realizes she's not going to make it. And decides to attack.
Though, we have an LA Overload shrine for Quantric. He's dropping real low.
Whoa.
The sword clouds are goddamn voracious today. They keep spawning on top of people.
Yeah. Pretty brutal, honestly. Again, 680 HP. These guys are not just synchronized when it comes to times, but also with the amount of equipment that they've got. Ooh. Okay, I thought it's going to be one of those where he takes down the boss, but still gets hit by the end animation and dies. We've seen that before. I think from Leaf a long time ago. Don't want to be seeing anything like that. Because it's not a Duressa race. You got to make it all the way over to Act 10.
Oh, I like that little adjustment there from Leaf. He had the spare portal scrolls in his inventory, so he went to the right, and there's always one boss on the right and 2 bosses on the left in this zone. Killed off Shav, who happened to be the boss on the right, portaled out, went back to the waypoint, and used that, because it's quicker than walking.
Piety has had enough of these guys' crap, and she keeps all the bosses just keep moving away from the traps. They don't wait any second. They know the big damage is coming. The mobs are adjusting. The AI is growing. They know soon we're going to be taken over. Why stand on the lightning spire trap when you can simply move away? And with that, Leaf is heading over to his Malachi 5. We're going to keep it a 4-player view as everybody is currently zooming. Something going on. Fireguard running past an Essence. Havoc making his way through Act 5, which can be quite tricky due to those due to those proximity shields. And Quantric with a massive shrine makes him look extra tall, extra neck, and extra slow. That massive shrine is not a good look for Quantric. Leaf?
Good look for his health globe, though.
Yeah, that's true. 907 HP, I believe, which is more than sufficient for these stages of the game. Leaf taking down Malachi. You know what? I lied. Let's full screen Leaf and his low life mode. See how if his fight is going to be even cleaner than Havoc's with the use of those 2 traps.
Not going for the 200 IQ strat, throwing a trap over at the first heart.
Yeah, and it's interesting too.
For Havoc, I think if you just time it correctly, it can definitely work. You know, you can do enough of the fight, you learn what part of what voice line is when you should throw the trap there. You get a little bit of extra damage on it. Probably means maybe a half a second, but hey, the first 4 acts of the game are probably the most optimized part of the game. And if you can shave off half a second there, it's going to be way more relevant than anywhere else.
Oh, for sure. And in Leaf's case, honestly, the trap management was way worse than Havoc's. Not only did he have 2 traps, but he was constantly out of them. A much cleaner fight from Havoc, and I think that's something Leaf should be worried about. He needs to step up his game if he's going to be catching up to Havoc. Let's take a quick look at the ladder, just real quick. Oh, no, excuse me. Fightcar's fighting Dominus. We're going to wait. Oh, Goratha dies.
Malachi, but the
sorry.
of the act.
Yeah.
He's on through to the second phase, which in some ways is a little less dangerous than the first. Your first few times around the fight, maybe it's going to be scarier because there's way more stuff going on, but you're not going to get that absolutely massive slam with the one-handed scepter that he carries because he throws the scepter through Piety's chest. And yeah, if he picked it back up with Piety still attached to it, that would be even more metal, but the game doesn't go quite that far.
Yeah.
And as a result, he doesn't do his massive slam, and so you're a little bit less likely to get one shot. You're most likely going to die to losing yourself amidst the clutter and stepping on a couple traps in a row.
Yeah, and also in the case of FightGuard, I think his fight is a little shaky as he did just see his teammate, so to say, Garata, having fallen. He types out WTF in the chat, steps into the last phases, but still takes down Malachi nonetheless. Says I can't wait for you, bro. I can't wait for your reroll. I gotta take down this guy and win this race. And hopefully better luck next time to Garata, whose replay we're going to be checking out in a little bit. But right now we've got Havoc, Leaf, and FightGuard, who you can all see. The number 4 player is not there as it was Garata, I think, at ranked 2. Therefore, yeah, FightGuard. Camel is 3rd.
Yeah,
okay.
He's zooming back up. He was at 9th a little while ago, back when we checked in, say, Act 2 or something like that. So he's been very consistently climbing his way back up.
Mm-hmm. Iconic fight. Yeah, we do have to full screen the iconic fight of Havoc versus Innocence. Something that's been pretty tricky for him in recent times. A little bit of PTSD possibly. He did have 2 races back to back where he has fallen to Innocence with only 750 life. That is a tiny amount.
Just don't get hit levels of life.
That is great. 750 is ridiculous. Usually you'll see, even for racers, to have 900, 1,000 life, 1,100 in some cases. This is not going to be easy.
He hasn't had his health move yet. There's a few sparks coming his way. He does connect with 1 or 2 of them, but that's fine. You don't want to run towards that dash from Innocence because that's when you get eaten alive by the sparks he leaves in his wake.
Yeah, with those HP values, I mean, it doesn't...
Wow,
once
is brave.
Once you do get hit, that's enough. You get hit once, it's night for Havoc.
Well, he's throwing the chain into the arc, it looked like there, if I recognize the gem arc correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess makes sense for the minions he was dealing with now, but is going to cost him on his damage here against Innocence himself.
No, I think that's Orb of Storms. He has Orb of Storms.
Oh, the Orb of Storms.
Yeah. He has a 4-link Orb of Storms, and I do believe he's still using Chain on it. His arc is only 2-link, not even a 3-link, prioritizing the 3-link Explosive Trap and the 3-link Lightning Spire Trap. So I think Flamethrower seems to be not worth it for him. Oh, suck it, Raiz, chat. Who's sucking it now, Camel, huh? Camel got what he had coming. And
he was doing so well too, like we just mentioned. We shouldn't have said anything.
Oh no, we should have said all the things. I love it.
You got an agenda.
I have an agenda, absolutely.
Let it never be said that Raiz didn't fight for his chat. You guys are well cared for.
Hell yeah, man. Twitch Prime, let's go. But with that, Camel falls, and we will check out instantly his replay, as I cannot wait.
Malachi.
Okay. Shock Nova. The Shock Nova hits me immediately. Does he get slammed? What happens, Camel? Dodges all the cold damage. Oh. Not.
That's painful. That's red on red on red. You don't necessarily see everything that's coming your way. You panic. You dash into a couple of balls.
I might die. I died.
We've all been there, right?
Camel with some strong language. Not happy.
I have it muted on my end.
Thank God. This is.
I might die. I died. Oh my God.
This is not good, Octavian. Cover your ears. It's good that you've gotten muted. This guy, he's a naughty boy. But naughty boys always they always get what they deserve. And Shock Nova will not be triumphant in this Act 10 Kitava race. Other players unfazed, continuing to pass through Act 5. Nobody has yet made it to Kitava, but also I think Havoc is still the only player to have made it to Innocence, actually. Pretty big lead.
Yeah, Quantric. Wait, yeah, no, Quantric's still a couple zones out, getting the Miaz meter. I am interested to see Quantric's single target and whether or not it's like markedly better than the other Templars, because Augury of Penitence being his choice. Oh boy. A little bit scary there, the vulnerability on him, middle of the pack of the saw blade wielding guys. But anyways, yeah, Augury of Penitence being his choice, you'd imagine that would be so that he could shred single target more effectively. It does seem like it pays off there. Getting down, what's his name? Is that Casticus? I think it's Casticus, before he has the opportunity to even channel his Blood Raven move, which is awesome because during the Blood Ravens, he is way tankier. Gets just a straight damage reduction.
I believe his name is not a mistake, considering the item that he drops. The famous General Castratus. Okay. Cathedral Rooftop entry from Havoc, heading over to Kitava, already having dealt with Ossuary. 803 HP. Octavian, if you were in Havoc's shoes right now...
I mean, Wolfio beat the game with 1. Took a few deaths. Just a few. But that's more than 0. And more than 0 is all you need, Raiz.
Okay. Well, okay. So that all right. Okay. Well, not a big
deal. My boy Wolfio.
Not a big deal.
Videos. He did beat all of Acts 1 through 10 with 1 hit point.
Yeah, but I don't think it was a Raiz format such as this one. Fortunately,
it should be a Raiz format though, right?
That's true, Octavian. You should get on that immediately. But right now, Havoc fighting Kitava, taking down the fight cleanly. If you make one mistake, you're dead. But the fortunate part is, Kitava doesn't gear very well either. He doesn't have a lot of HP when facing the mighty Lightning Spire trap. So Havoc manages to phase him through pretty instantly.
That's some nasty damage from the dot.
Yep.
Whoa, oh my God. Watch out that for like a second and drops to half.
Yeah, that is spooky.
I'm really scared of the Flicker Strike guy going into this. Because you don't have the option to dodge that. He teleports behind.
Yeah, the Orb of Storms with Chain just absolutely demolishes, alongside the Arc, the unique mobs in that fight. That was super clean. I was definitely very afraid, like you mentioned, for the ad phase, but oh my goodness, he drops so low.
Again, hit points above 0. That's all that matters. The Flicker guy only getting in 1 basic attack. The Stibnite Flask. Oh no, he didn't actually put that on. He's got it in his inventory. I guess the Granite Flask is putting in a lot of work here. I would have imagined you'd want Stibnite for the Heart phase. Because being able to drop a blind, because the enemies are not very mobile. They stick around in that one area, so being able to drop the blind cloud would seem really effective. But judged the Granite Flask to be more important.
And his resistances are looking pretty good. He's about to get hit with the juicy penalty. You're gonna get a swift update if you can't. Go minus 30. You know, Google. What's 70 minus 30? Havoc's calculating currently, but he seems pretty prepared for the next stages of the game. And we're going to be coming back to the other players, seeing how they're dealing with what looks to be Innocence. Yeah. 2 players, X-Leaf and Fightgar. Oh, Leaf takes it down, no problem.
Quantric as well. I mean, he's in the first phase, so it's only Avarius and not Innocence yet, but it is still the same fight. Spoiler, Avarius does turn into Innocence.
Whoa.
I'm sorry if you missed out on 3.0.
I think it wasn't even 3.0. I think it's
right?
Oh, 3.0. Was it? Oh, yeah, 3.0. Okay. For whatever reason, I thought you said 3.8. I'm like, oh, no, wait a minute.
That's not here yet. We're all missing out on that right now.
Yeah, I'm living in the future or in the past. But what's extra interesting about these fights is that, as you pointed out, Quantric is also fighting Innocence. Granted, he's slightly behind, but he has done lab and trials. So logically, he should be catching up. He should be dealing with these fights better.
He doesn't have the Lightning Spire trap still, though.
True.
And the difference between having Lightning Spire Trap and not seems to be more than the difference between having Augury of Penitence and not.
Yeah, let's check it out. Let's see exactly how this is going for him. He deals with the ads very well. Does the Lightning Spire Trap really make that big of a difference? He doesn't have a 4-link either. Only 3 3-links with the Wave of Conviction, Orb of Storms. Actually, only 2 3-links. He only
That
has
could be
2
making the
abilities.
difference, to be honest. Maybe he did practice runs where he found that 4-linked Orb of Storms or 4-linked Wave of Conviction or whatever it is he happens to throw those links at is more than enough damage if you've ascended to kill the bosses that it's worth skipping library and not going for the Lightning Spire Trap as a result. But in this actual race run, he got unlucky. He doesn't have the 4-link yet, so the numbers are looking, if anything, worse.
Yeah, but the gameplay's still looking solid. I mean, with that Augury of Penitence, this is not slow. That looks good to me. That was solid.
And it is on the 3-link still, so it's only going to get better as he pushes up to a proper 4-link.
Well, the biggest problem is he is very self-cast dependent, right? He can't just put down a trap and walk away, which with that extra mobility, that's basically survivability, right? Less chance to get hit. So he's putting himself at risk, but in terms of the actual clear, pretty solid from Quantric.
Yeah, and chooses to go for the Onslaught Flask as well, instead of, I think we saw a pickup of a Stibnite from Havoc, and I don't know if we saw Leaf's utility flash choice, so an offensive choice instead of a defensive one. So really just going like ham on damage on this run.
Yeah, I think Leaf did go for the Stibnite. At least that's what he's done in the previous races. So he wants to make sure that he doesn't run into any issues with the ad phase of Kitava. Oh, actually, I don't see it in his inventory. He might have gone for the holo, looking for the instant. And that being said, also, if you take a look at Havoc's flasks, he's using some...
he doesn't have the Stibnite. It's in his inventory. He's had it since getting the Flask quest done.
Yeah, but actually both Leaf... Yeah, both Leaf and Havoc are using a... Is that the 36 Sacred Flask, or is that the level 18 Grand Flask?
Unless they hover over it, I don't think you can tell, because I'm pretty sure the art's the same, right?
Oh, okay. Well, that would make sense, because I'm looking over at FightGuard and he only has one of those, so I would imagine that is the Sacred one. So nobody's really looking to get that instant holo. That Sacred isn't nearly as good on an instant flash as the other setups are. It's full screen Leaf.
Topic, I am really looking forward to the Flask art rework coming with next league.
Oh yeah,
that's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a death.
Well, hopefully, it's top 15 death, so it's nobody on the screen. But with FightGuard heading over to Kitava as well, you're gonna be able to check out both of the fights at the same time. They are going for a similar strategy, though.
I seriously thought you were gonna say it's nobody important for a second there.
No, I would never. It was probably Chip, let's be honest. Spraying on his 4th character. He's a great racer, but also, tends to kind of cut these races short. FightGuard heading over. Actually, I'm reading for FightGuard. I see Orb of Storms on his thing. Or, excuse me, on... I see Orb of Storms, absolutely, but I also see Stormbrand. No Brand Recall, though. Wonder if he's just trying to get power charges possibly out of it. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Oh, we have another rip at rank 12.
Friotic.
Is that high enough for us to care?
That is definitely a player you should be caring about. Friotic, another racer who's been doing this for a long time and usually with a really good performance. Only rank 12 in this race, ends up falling. Maybe ran into some sort of issues early on, but nonetheless, I don't think we're going to be seeing a reroll of him. So, Friotic, thank you very much for your service. With that being said, X-Leaf takes down Kitava. Hopefully, he is prepared with the resistances. FightGuard with his 888 HP. Nobody really has a whole lot of HP. Also fighting with Kitava, making sure that he resets his Lightning Spire trap.
Oh, no.
Quantric. And that's
a fistful of rip.
Yeah, and that's what we were talking about, where that self-casting, all the effort that you have to put in doesn't leave a whole lot of room for just mobility. You can't really move away from attacks nearly as much. You don't have as much reaction time. Sometimes you're locked into an animation, and I think that's exactly what happened to Quantric. We will be checking out the instant replay as soon as we get it, and we do get it fast. Thank you to the production doing this behind the scenes. Appreciate you guys. What has happened with Quantric? He barely gets into the fight. I think Kitava was just waiting. He was like, okay, this guy killed me like this guy killed me like that.
He's been learning, like he said.
I have to adjust my strat. Okay, well, that wasn't particularly elaborate, I'll be honest. That was pretty straightforward.
You only got 800 something health. You can't afford those.
Okay, yeah, that was very straightforward. I'll be honest. I wasn't expecting this one. Quantric full focus. Oh, the double facepalm, the fail fish, the double fail fish.
I mean, sometimes he got punched is all the play-by-play you can really apply to a situation.
Laughs it off nonetheless. I think he should be very proud of his performance. He did extremely well, topping off the ladder, which we will be getting an update of very soon. And meanwhile, I have the... Ooh, check this out. I do it like this. I move Fight Guy over to Quantric's place, and we can check out the ladder as well. Okay, that's not how it works. Oh, is it? Oh, I did it.
I'm looking at a loading screen right
Pog.
now. There we go. There we go. We're through.
All right, we've got Havoc, rank 1, XLeaf, rank 2, Fight Guy 3rd, and then...
Arv is making his first showing in the top 5, from what I recall.
Yeah, and just ahead of him, we've got a person whose name I won't even attempt to read, but I do believe that he's a fellow Finn, and he had a pretty good placing in some of the recent races. I think it was a top 10, possibly in the method race, or in one of the qualifiers, so nicely done by him. And he had a very unique strategy as well. He was an occultist, actually. So maybe we're seeing something like that here as well, yeah. The Finns are coming in. They're zooming through. Carve taking rank 4. And Sushi Huka taking rank 5. I'm sure I perfected that. I said it perfectly. Yeah?
I'm not going to try. I'm going to leave that to you.
No? Come on, man. Don't leave me hanging. You should try as well.
Okay. XLeaf has got a really, really clean... I almost forgot his name for a second there. Tukahama kill. I wanted to call him Karui Ward God, which he is, but that's not his name in game. And actually leaving through the ladder exit, presumably to get a few more kills on the way out of the zone. Maybe feels like he just really needs this level right now.
There is a spell damage craft down there, so maybe he was looking to pick that up.
I thought the spell damage craft was in the arena, at the top of the arena, or is that a different craft?
You have to go down the stairs. There's no craft in the arena. You have to go down the stairs. So if he was exiting through the door, then it's most likely something like that.
Well, we'll see whether or not he takes advantage of it. As we've got Carve on the screen playing, what is that? It's Lightning Spire Trap, and I think also Flamethrower. But my monitor just there, Flamethrower Trap. Something came up on my monitor. I got a little notification from Windows. Everything's fine on my computer, in case you were worrying. Right. Pretty typical Templar from what we've been seeing, but with your favorite edition of the Flamethrower Trap in there.
Ooh, actually, that being said, XLeaf is clearing the Twilight Strand. I wonder what he's looking to get out of this. Possibly a cast when damage taken? He is a witch. Wow, his movement speed is so fast. He must have an adrenaline flask. Maybe we can get some updates from production as to the gear.
I looked for his profile earlier, and I believe it was private.
Yeah, I mean, there are two players who have significantly better movement speed. If you can point to them, I mean, it's pretty clear.
Yeah, Havoc as well. Probably had that good luck of rolling into it.
I think Havoc's had an adrenaline flask for quite a while. Karvarosku and Fightgar. Carve facing Kitava now. Ooh, and really, I like Carve's stream is so high quality. Let's tune into that. Oh, he shows a lot of focus as Havoc enters Southern Forest.
You can really see the fine detail of the masonry on Kitava's broken to bits face. Wonderfully high quality.
Yeah, Carve with an interesting flask setup. Only one life flask, one mana flask, and then he's got 2 quicksilvers with a silver flask. I think he's still using Onslaught on his Orb of Storms. He is using Chain as well on a 4-link setup. The Unique Mob hits him super hard, but not enough to take him down. With that 130 energy shield, proven to be essential for this fight. Keep in mind that any amount of energy shield you've got gives you a 50% chance to prevent being stunned, which might have made all the difference there. There you go. Again, he gets chunked, but he doesn't get stunned, which allows him to exit through the portal, give him a lot of safety, gets that energy shield back, gets his trap back, makes the fight a lot more controlled. A lot easier to just not get smacked in the face with a big fist, for sure.
And this is probably the highest EHP we've seen against this Kitava fight as well. Much closer to what you'd usually see here, especially if you're including the ES into the equation.
Yeah,
helped him out a lot against the Flicker Strike guy, only getting chunked down to half instead of even lower like we saw in some of the previous.
Yes, 3 4-links Carve does. Really crazy. Only using 2 of them, however, as he... Yeah, Witcher or Templar? It's an interesting setup. What does he only have a 2-link on that? Only an open red socket.
Fightgar has made his way through to the Shrewdy fight, and he's actually about halfway through it already. I think he's running Herald of Purity, which is odd.
Yeah, it's a little odd. Very surprising. I mean, the scaling is similar if you path out on Templar through the skill tree, so it shouldn't affect too many things. Maybe Misclick didn't have the alterations to get the other ones.
Yeah, can see that.
Oh man, chat. You know what's happening. The most exciting part of this event. Drop everything. Put away your popcorn. It's time to pog out.
Take out the popcorn.
Take out the popcorn.
We're watching something very exciting. You're gonna, settle in.
You can even take out multiple bags of popcorn because we're gonna be here for a while. The most exciting part of Path of Exile, racing, and the game altogether. Let's see how Havoc deals with it. The arc, super effective, prevents him from getting bled out from those big statues.
Yeah, allows him to clean up the mobs while staying within the ring as well.
Yeah,
Played a few skills that require you to jump out of the ring in order to do damage, and it is rather frustrating trying to like level with Flicker Strike here or something.
Yeah, and that's Wave of Conviction, right? If something doesn't get into the circle, Wave of Conviction doesn't have a whole lot of range, or you're sacrificing the damage if something's far away. So, yeah, for sure, the arc is paying off. So,
if you don't have the means to fire outside, I was more a little joking on my own leveling runs, but it could be a problem for someone who's relying wholly on Orb of Storms and Wave of Conviction, like I think Carp was, rather than having the arc, which was kind of not this specifically, but this is a bit of a microcosm of the reason why Havoc included arc in his setup, because the Orb of Storms Wave of Conviction, as effective as it is for scaling damage early on, is a little bit limited in its range and ability to clear packs, especially packs that are like awkwardly a little bit away. You'd want to kill them if you had a skill that reached there, but like you don't want to walk over to kill them. And arc is the perfect middle ground for that.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, the entire reason why you would get arc is exactly for that encounter.
Oh yes,
specifically.
that is exactly what I was driving at. Thank you for filtering it down and making it bite-sized for the people, Raiz.
Exactly. That's what I do. You're welcome, Octavian. Havoc's plan finally coming into fruition. In the last Act 5 race, he only then realized, oh, okay, this is Act 5. I won't actually get to do this fight, but now he can show the strategy to the people, and you guys have been enlightened.
We are now into the part of the race that Havoc hasn't practiced for, though.
Oh.
It's unfamiliar territory. He's only done Act 5 races. He's never even seen a Brian King. This is his first time here.
Actually true. Yeah, that's a great point. If he has indeed not practiced, Havoc is one of those players that maybe in his eyes he hasn't practiced, because usually he'll do 20 runs, and maybe for this one he only did 5. But if he truly has not done any practice at all, then might run into some issues. I think all these guys are super familiar with overall how the layouts go, as there isn't too much complexity in the layouts, although Carve might show us that there actually is a lot of complexity in Acts 6 to 10. But most of these guys, typically there's not a whole lot changing in terms of placements, is what I'm trying to say for these acts, as you can't really cut a lot of corners. Oh, well, Brian King cutting some corners with Havoc dropping low. Not a lot of cold resistance. It seems like he prioritized the lightning resistance, making sure that he's not going to die to the spikes, but actually he's exiting out using that. Yeah, using that invulnerability when you enter the grace period to make sure to not die to any funky lightning, as there is a huge damage disparity. Sometimes you get hit for 200 damage, sometimes you get hit for 2000. Pair that up with a racing scenario where you don't have a lot of resistances, and that's a recipe for a rip. Oh, what's that? What's that guy's name?
We lost another rank 15.
There you go.
That's my best attempt.
Another Finnish player unfortunately falls. Rank 15 seems to be cursed. And
is that what it sounds like when I try and say Finnish words to your ears?
More Dutch than Finnish, I'd say, for my taste, actually. I'm sure many find that very insulting, but hey, too late. I said it already. We've got it. At least Octavian did it justice.
You can't be insulted. I said it in the past.
Okay. Yeah, hopefully we're not going to catch a ban on Twitch from this, but Leaf making his way over to Brian King as well. Pretty standard. I'm kind of sad about Kryptonic's rip. I'm still thinking back to it, you know. Every time I look down at the bottom left, I'm like, ooh, where's our Inquisitor? The man with the lab. But
I don't think anyone else has ascended that we've seen. I mean, possibly on the ladder there's a few others, but nobody on camera yet.
Mm-hmm.
Fightgar with some exciting gameplay here. He is lacking the arc, I believe. Yeah, he has the Stormbrand instead, though. So we'll see the difference in this crucial mission that arc makes to your gameplay.
Mm-hmm. For sure, absolutely. He does have Stormbrand, however, so that's going to help him out. Always has 3 released.
Have a single support links to it, though. If you look at the bar.
Oh yeah, true.
What he's using that Stormbrand for.
Hmm.
Or if it's still just like socketed from earlier and he's not really... No, he threw it out. It's there on the ground now.
Yep. Maybe he's just looking to proc his elemental overload. It's a possibility. Maybe trying to get some... Oh, he's not getting power charges out of it, I don't think. He is keeping up his Arcane Surge very well without using his Flame Dash. So one of his links has to have Arcane Surge, which isn't a big damage
Orb
boost.
Of Storms.
Oh, really?
If I recognize the icon correctly, I think... Or sorry, not the Orb of Storms. The Stormbrand. I always get those two confused because I use them both for curse on hit stuff. I think it's on the Stormbrand. Right.
Yeah, then I think that would be one of the reasons why he would go for this. Especially for this encounter, since you don't want to be flame dashing away, you know? His flame dash is only on a 2-link, however, so that is very tricky. Usually you're looking for that 3-link, you're trying to get Arcane Surge and faster casting. Makes a really big difference, almost as much as a Quicksilver. Granted, you pick up the cooldown reduction nodes, but Fightguard doesn't have it. Hopefully it's not gonna cost him too much. Carvarosco is really zooming now. He seems to be speeding up more and more, catching up to the other players. Maybe those secret Act 6 plus strategies are going to pay off for him. How about heading over to pick up the map for one of the tricky Fidelitas fights? Or is it Malagara fights, excuse me. We'll see how that goes for him. He did significantly upgrade his HP, however, going from 800, not even, at Kitava to almost 1,200 now. That's going to help him out a lot. And I think a lot of these guys are just thinking already in advance, how am I going to deal with dodgery? How do I not die? Got to burst it down as fast as possible. It's kind of, all of this is kind of preparation, kind of a ramp up for that big boss fight with Dodgery in Act 8.
One of the biggest checkpoints and hurdles to get over, really, in a run like this. Yeah. As a experienced racer yourself, Raiz, where would you say that like really, really in-depth knowledge of layouts of the zones, like which part of the story would you say that's most important in? Because I would have guessed that
Ooh.
the I mean, it's obviously an important factor everywhere, but I would have guessed that early on it would have made the most impact on your times, because you you lose more if you misread. If you walk down the wrong corridor, you have to walk back even slower because you have no movement speed, you have no onslaught potential, you have no, you
Yeah.
don't have access to as much cast speed for your move skill, that sort of thing.
I would say overall Act 1, just simply because you need to be in the right mindset. You need to have everything very much under control. If you get into the mindset of, I'm not going fast enough, I'm not keeping up, I can't give myself an opportunity to think in advance, then Act 1 can really throw you off, and you really feel it through the entirety of your run. And typically you only get that clarity of mind eventually once you're able to slow down, at least in my case, once I rip. So, and then at that point I'm like, oh, I could have done 300 things differently, but I just didn't have an opportunity to do so because I couldn't catch up due to a poor Act 1. And having good layout knowledge helps immensely, and it will make a big difference. And Act 1 is one of the acts with the largest like variance of layouts overall. Some might say Act 2 as well. Act 2, you can definitely save a couple minutes. Although Act 3, I think Carve specifically has shown us in the past that the difference between a good Act 3 runner and a good but not great one is pretty significant. Although I would say overall the racers have really gotten so much better at Act 3 nowadays. In the past we would have piety times of about 1 hour, and granted everybody's got a little bit more power now, but many are running it under 50 minutes even. And that purely comes down to knowledge and how much more time people are saving in Act 3 for sure.
On a slightly different topic, I just want to say how disgusted I am by Havoc's luck right now.
Yeah.
He had an acceleration shrine leading up to this zone, and then got one at the very start of this zone. Like he had an acceleration shrine at the start of the last 2 zones he was in, basically. On top of that, and the adrenaline quicksilver that he got early, he is blitzing through this right now.
Yeah, and unlike the previous race that you guys most likely watched, the qualifier for ExoCon, this is not a fixed seed race, so none of these other guys will be graced with the same RNG. It's just Havoc and possibly Dead and Doom, but he's already out of the race, so won't get an opportunity to get those acceleration shrines this time around. Which, somebody else has to. Seems like it's Havoc this time around. Good RNG from him.
Xleaf doing his Bride King fight, not cheesing the lightning bolts. Maybe he just doesn't want to burn the portal scrolls. Maybe he doesn't have the portal scrolls. We'll see. And it's actually a little bit dicey there, eating a bit more of the cold damage than perhaps you'd like. There's a swipe coming across him as well. This isn't looking as clean as Havoc's run.
For sure, I would say so. Absolutely. You do save a little bit of time by not having to portal out. I mean, depending on your location, your loading times might be shorter or faster, but I think with Leaf, as you saw, he takes down the boss really quickly if he is able to dish out his flamethrower and lightning spire trap. And yeah, it was a little bit more dicey like you mentioned, but also just really quick. Carve now fighting Brine King as well.
Yeah, very smooth and easy phase there. Brine King didn't even have time to think before he had to sit back down. And opting not to portal out to save that little bit of precious loading time.
I'm taking a little bit of a sip right now. You guys make sure to drink your water, stay hydrated. And
I've been irresponsible. I don't have any with me.
Ooh, really? I've got 2. I'm prepared for the both of us. Too bad you're like 60,000 kilometers away, Octavian. We should fix it.
Just fax it to me.
Yeah, I think it would take me longer to find a fax machine than it would to actually walk over and give it to you directly. Carve taking out Brine King, very nice. Excuse me?
You don't live near any museums?
Well, Poland is one big museum. You should visit, I'll be honest. It's probably yeah, I could probably find a fax machine or 2 somewhere for sure. Kleina with not a rip. We did have a rip from him previously in a corrupted zone. Maybe we'll check that out. It has been long overdue since we've seen a rip, and it seems like everybody's got some bosses cleared.
Yeah, let's get some blood sport.
Absolutely. Let's see what we've got going on over here. Ooh.
Oh, Quantric. No. Is this
Nope.
Quantric back in it?
Nope. This
No,
is
no, I was fooled.
Klein Knecht.
I think that
Ignited.
was that a Vol side zone?
Yep, that is a
This
Vol
seemed like
side
we'd be
zone.
fighting this guy at this level, yeah.
Yeah, he does a lot of damage whenever he ignites himself, whenever he enrages. He's gonna do a lot, and our racer unfortunately has definitely felt it. Allow me to time saver on beacon from Carve. Wait a minute, what is this that we've got over here? Apparently we've got a secret strategy that the casters totally missed. What is this, Carve? Enlighten us. Oh, he's already, look at that smug face. He knows what he's doing. He knows he's about to show off something cool.
That we were debated by the title.
Okay, well, snap. that did not seem like a time saver to me. By my calculations.
So, clickable things like that. You know how if you can hold control and click the entrance to a zone, it'll open up a menu to like show you a bunch of different new instances that you can make.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure a lot of other clickables have, like, they try to interact with you in that way if you control click them. Because sometimes I've been holding control in game and I've clicked something that isn't an entrance to a zone, so it can't make a new instance, but it doesn't let me click it again for another couple seconds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe that's what was happening, or maybe he just positioned poorly.
Yeah, it's like that where you click and you enter a boss zone and then you exit because you misclick and then you try and enter again and it gives you those couple seconds where you just can't click it again. Very, very frustrating. Oof, Fightgar takes a volley from Malagaro. Dropping low. Not low enough though.
And this fight is pretty nasty. The damage is super concentrated, so it's not like too incredibly difficult to sidestep and stand in the right spot not to get hit, but it's really, really dire if you make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of the shots can overlap on just the wrong spot and come close to one-shotting you.
And especially with one life flask, Fightgar is very dependent on that granite flask use, but for a boss fight, you're not always going to have it available. So, tricky stuff from him. Actually, everybody only rocking one life flask, with the only exception being that Carve does not use a granite like the other guys do, and still using that second Quicksilver, which might be the reason why he's catching up. That being said, it's hard to catch up to an Adrenaline Quicksilver that Leaf and Havoc both have.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, he's also not gone for a defensive choice and gone for a silver flask instead. So really just, trying to use every tool at his disposal to catch up may end up problematic for him. But he does have the Flesh and Stone running, so that kind of makes up for the lack of, say, a Stibnite flask.
Ooh, I switched him away. Right when you were talking about that, I switch him away. Excuse me, Octavian. I'll switch it back over, except I can't.
That's all right. He is in the middle of a Malagaro fight at the moment, but it seems like us switching away didn't bring in many bad luck.
Can you guess who just died at level 30, rank 19? Lost internet again. I feel like we've heard about that. I do believe that it's Chip. Yet again with the third rip in this race. Well, at least he stays vigilant. That's good. Hopefully he's gonna be rerolling again.
Is a great trait to have for a racer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Many times people won't want to practice. They're not gonna bother. Chip is getting all the practice anybody would ever need in just a single race. So nicely done by him.
Oh man, that was a good way of putting it, right? There's a little backhand.
Let us take a look at the ladder real quick, with Havoc being first, Leaf second, Fightgar third, Carvarosco fourth. So all the players that we have currently showing on screen are in the top, but very shortly behind, get another Finnish player, and Steel Mage at rank 6. Where did he come from?
Left field.
Whoa.
I don't think, I think similar to Havoc, he was planning on not racing today.
Oh, okay. So maybe
in the last 20 minutes beforehand.
All right, maybe coming in a little bit late. I do know the tie-dye killer who was in rank 8 did come a little bit late, so he's behind of the pack because of that. But again, keep in mind that this is about a top 3 placement to be eligible for the money. Therefore, if we have a couple more rips, maybe those guys speed up, maybe they pull out some secret strategies, they can still make it into the top. So I think that's what all of these guys are looking for, despite the late start, possibly.
Yeah, I think we're far enough in though, and the lead is large enough that if anybody else wants any hope of claiming that first place, Havoc is going to have to fall. You know, it's not just going to be like simple bad layout reads or something like that. He's got too much of a lead at this point, it seems.
We have an update from Steel Mage's mom in the chat.
Oh,
he said that he couldn't sleep, so why not Raiz? Wise words. Thank you very much for the update, mom of Steel Mage.
I hope he gets some rest after the race.
For sure. Well, hopefully he's gonna win the race and then he can, you know, sleep satisfied, right?
Yeah. You know, an extra, what is it, few £100 coming your way, or euros? I think it was euros. All of you fancy foreign people with your strange currencies.
Carf!
Oh God, Carf.
I think he's alive.
That's a wonderful reaction.
Carf turns into one of those bloated fishes, whatever they're called, those poisonous fishes.
The puffer fish.
Yeah, the puffer fish. Well, we're gonna get a replay on that, I'm sure. Ooh, takes down the boss. Actually,
it was almost a tie.
Yeah, it was almost a tie. Carv, unfortunately, has been running into problems with bleed mechanics, having a bunch of rips to it in recent times. So that would have been a little bit anticlimactic for all of his race practice. It's good that he did not perish. We're gonna get an instant replay as Havoc is still preparing to get on over to the big spider mama. Let's see what happened with Carvarosco. What led to this logout? Takes down the bosses really nicely. Prepares for Groost. Has 4 traps still. Places them all down. Groost gets that extra defense whenever he powers up. Whenever he's releasing those spikes, he takes significantly less on-hit damage. Yeah, that's brutal. He just absolutely got crushed. 4 seconds on the puncture. Great logout from Carv. Gets hit for 600 and takes just massive damage.
Went down to 67 was the lowest number I saw there.
Yeah, that was crazy. Nicely done by Carv. Wasting a little bit of time, but still, it seems like everything's under control.
Havoc, meanwhile, is bringing down the spider mama, as you put it. And she doesn't really seem to stand much of a chance. Another one of the bosses that is really, really massive, and so the lightning spider trap has no trouble landing tons of hits and shredding through them.
He doesn't pick up the loot. You have to wait for her to get into the middle of the arena to pick up the loot, for her to drop loot. Many people think that she doesn't even drop loot ever, but no, she does. You just gotta wait for it. But Havoc has no time to wait. Despite being the rank 1 player, he doesn't need gear. He needs more ladder positions. I don't know how you're gonna get higher than rank 1, but maybe if there's a person who can find a way, it's Havoc.
I don't know if rank 0 really sounds like it's better than 1.
Yeah,
that would kind of be the next logical thing.
Yeah, I think so. Well, but he is prepping up for that Dodgery fight, and we did talk about the gearing up with 1,300 life. That still doesn't make for a very safe fight. If he does get hit by, well, just about anything in that encounter, and many of the mechanics slow you down or make you take additional damage or make you deal less damage, prolonging the fight, it will be enough for him to get kicked off of the race entirely.
Leaf is asking one of the other racers where lightning damage craft rank 2 is. In the time to type it for the boss.
I wonder who he asked. It's interesting actually that Leaf is going for Grutkul, the nature mama, for the extra passive point. Taking a lot of time, but most people don't do this immediately, especially in a race, because, well, it's quite sketchy. We're talking about Dodgery, but it can be sketchy. And Carve is also doing the same thing. Interesting.
I think part of why this fight has the reputation that it does is because it's so incredibly difficult to read.
Yes.
Unlike Dewedre, where even if you know what you're doing, Dewedre can still sometimes just not care and slap you down. Grithcole, I think, is less likely to do that if you are, really familiar with the fight and are able to play it correctly.
Yes, very much so. It can be very tricky, even from just a visual point of view, right?
Yeah,
it's just so much.
like dark gray on slightly less dark gray.
Well, it will be a good contrast for the upcoming 3.8 green on yellow on yellow on yellow. It will be I think it's going to be much easier. People are going to welcome the Grithcole fight with open arms. A lot of crafting going on right now. FightGuard was just now in his hideout, being very surprised about the prices of crafts. He was trying to craft HP, and it was like eight transmutes or something. He simply shook his hand, walked away, not happy about that. I think he ended up throwing a transmute on his gloves, getting fire resistance. Any little bit helps. Let's check out how Havoc is dealing with Dodgery. He kept building up this fight. He curses her with conductivity. Doesn't do a whole lot of damage. With no flamethrower trap, it won't be enough to phase her out.
Yeah, he started with the enfeeble phase, and that's also when he had the most prepped damage. So got a few stacks of the damage debuff as his damage went off, presumably, and so the burst wasn't as high as it could have been. Though, to be fair, the enfeeble phase doesn't kill you as much, so it's kind of a trade-off. And there you go. Fairly smooth.
Yeah, that was nicely done by Havoc for sure. It seemed like he had the control all over it. I see Camel mentioning in the chat that the world record is 2:33 for this format. Might have been joking a little bit at the start of the race about those 5 hours. Camel, calm down, Camel. We get it. The Shock Nova, you're upset,
so yeah, closer
but
to 4 than 5.
Yeah, for sure, absolutely. I was just trying to make chat not feel as bad. Wow, Havoc gets a lot of armor and blacksmith scraps. It's going to be a lot of potential wisdom and portal scrolls that he's most likely going to turn them into. Still leaves a pretty large chunk of it on the ground, decides that he's got enough currency and it's time to go fast.
Yeah, I think the difference maker here is going to be the decisions made as to what small things you turn around to pick up. Like Havoc skipping out on the loot from the giant spider as well. If anybody's going to catch up to Havoc, they're going to have to cut corners.
Oh yeah, for sure. And one of those players looking to do so is Leaf, who's right now fighting the big spider, phasing her out. I'm not sure if she's 50% life, as the HP bar, was covered up by the delete Path of Exile notification, which hopefully is not gonna... Oh, Isla's online. Big. Oh, wow. That was a pretty unfortunate pattern. Not only did she go down twice, but then she went down on the other side. He had to wait for her to come up and eat her husband. Dodges the lightning beam, the beams. No problem. Gets through onto the next zone. The Sarn ramparts. Leaves the loot on the ground. He doesn't need any of that stuff.
I don't think we're going to see anybody wait for the spider loot, as we have Carve into his own Arakali fight. Should go pretty smoothly. I mean, if anything, this is better than the last one we just saw, because gosh, never mind. I cursed him.
Oh, he logs out.
Yeah, you had to. Well, I guess he didn't have to. I think he might have lived even without doing so. But second close call for our boy Carve.
Wow, but that is very big. That's a lot of time wasted right there. He might potentially get kicked out of the top 5 and to rerun all of those zones. Oh yeah, for sure. Gets hit. Not a good strategy. And that's going to be a big rerun. Was he on the last phase already?
Yeah. I mean, the boss was almost dead. Oh,
wait.
Hang on. He killed her. Oh! The boss was dead.
Wait, but he didn't have the waypoint anymore. That was interesting. I guess the boss had like a dying animation, and the animation needed to go through even though he relogged.
That interesting. Is a lucky break, man.
Yeah.
That saves like, I don't know, a minute or more.
I've never seen that, because usually
you don't get too many opportunities to see that. Nobody does that purposefully.
Yeah.
You don't try and risk your Arakali run by logging out at the last possible second.
Oh, I'm pretty sure the act totally wasn't there. I mean, even Carve checked it and he just kept going, and turns out that it was enough all along. I don't know, maybe some ignite from the flamethrower trap stuck around and took down the boss and just needed to wait for the animation. I have absolutely no clue. But Fightgar and Leaf heading over to Dodri. X-Leaf definitely a lot closer. Is that really his monitor, or those his OBS settings? Is this like extra spice for him? Is this the equivalent of Camel's drop in the weights, just playing with absolute no visibility? Is he looking forward to playing a low life build next league? I just don't get it.
When it comes to the finals over in New Zealand, he's gonna have a monitor that actually shows him everything that's happening, and he's a shoe-in to win. Oh god, no, where's the Undying? Where's the Undying? That's so annoying.
Yeah, that is pretty annoying. The bane of Arc, but fortunately he can't deal with it with the traps. He doesn't have the Arc set up, but the chain doesn't help either way. But yeah, maybe like you mentioned, that is the case for Leaf. He's just preparing. Once you get as good as Leaf does, as Leaf is, you simply have to look for other experimental ways of improving as a player, and one of those ways is developing super side. Our amateur eyes simply cannot comprehend what's going on, but he can see everything perfectly. It's like Neo seeing the Matrix, you know?
I mean, it's the same reason why he has his profile private. He's trying as best he can to hide his racing strats from the other players.
Yeah, you are forced to stream in this race, so he has to, but he's still trying really hard. Great point, Octavian.
Anyway, start of the Dwedre fight. Gonna get the temp chains at the beginning. This one can be a little bit deceptive if you have a bunch of visual effects like a lightning spire trap going on. It can be sometimes hard to tell where the edge of the degen is. So he's gonna immediately swap it. I mean, that's just correct anyways. If you let a stage stick around for a while, it can get really risky pretty much regardless of which one it is.
And you've got in the bottom right also Carvaroscu facing Dodri as well. Leaf doing a pretty good job, but she steps away from her flamethrower traps. He tries to kite her back into all of his attacks. Has to use the Volve. Hopefully, he doesn't quite manage to take her down before she gets the exit animation. Carve, in the meanwhile, in the bottom right, is dodging a lot.
Fightgar started this fight after both Carve and Leaf and finished it before either of them, or basically just on time with Leaf.
Wow.
That was a very good Dwedre from Fightgar.
And he goes to the left as well. Fightgar, interesting strategy. The first person to enter the Grand Promenade, with Leaf actually going to the left as well. Carve, the layout master, opting to go to the right. I mean, Leaf did go for Grutkul, and if you go to the left, you don't have access to the 2 extra passive points. Obviously, you wouldn't go for Clarissa. It's a pretty big time sink, but taking down those lieutenants in Marketplace is pretty much a free passive point. They do give a lot of XP, and yet I guess the length of the left side of the zone proves to be better. Interesting.
Yeah. I can't really think of anything else that would cause you to want to go this way aside from just a shorter layout. There's no other carrots on a stick to draw you in this direction. Is
Carve's heading over to Clarissa?
No, not really.
Oh, he didn't even I could tell. An amateur racer like me, I could tell he's going over to Clarissa. What's happening, Carve? See,
Do we have to take away his layout master card?
Yeah. Oh man.
His license to layout?
I think it's just pressure. You know, I think he's just feeling the pressure.
Point. Yeah, he might be a little shaken.
Yeah. You just don't have a lot of time to reflect. You just don't have that opportunity to think about your next move. And if you're shaken up like that, you're going to start making mistakes. And layouts and inventory managements are the first things that go. And you're just focusing on your gameplay, trying to not overkill, trying to save as much time as possible. But you have to get on top of that. If you want to win, you have to collect yourself, untilt, and go fast.
I'm beginning to think I may have been a little bit, too hasty in my assessment earlier, as people are beginning to make up the difference to catch up to Havoc. So it may not be that it'll take a rip from Havoc for someone else to claim first place. He still does have a healthy lead, but it's been diminishing.
Yeah, Absolutely. It's been definitely diminishing. I mean, the early adrenaline flash definitely makes a big difference. And like you talked about before, the fact that he just doesn't have practice in these latter parts of the game, in these latter acts, it shows. I mean, you can definitely see people are making up. We're going to take a look at the ladder. Havoc still being first, despite all the talking that we're doing right now. Leaf being second, Fightcar being third, Steel Mage being fourth, and Carve unfortunately getting kicked down to rank 5 with having to relog and then relog and then relog again. Yeah, maybe we're gonna see some gameplay from Steel Mage, huh?
Yeah, we can throw him in the top 4. I think he deserves a spot. Battling for that spot with Carve as they're like jumping back and forth right on each other's heels. I'm not sure physically how that works, but as an expression, it works out well.
Wow, Steel Mage is just over leveling like crazy. Look at this guy. He still hasn't killed the spider.
Almost gets himself killed there. He turns the corner. A little bit of chunkage from the Viper striking spiders.
All right, well, that's an interesting update then. Steel Mage, despite the level lead, which will allow him to kill less mobs later on, he's just so behind on progression. That's a big difference.
He just swapped his mana flask around for a granite. I'm assuming he's going to swap him these life for a mana flask now. Or he's, oh yeah, there we go. Oh, okay, no.
Maybe he's no, he's the Templar. I was thinking maybe he's rocking some sort of Inquisitor setup, and he picked up the mana consecrated path situation ground thing, but no.
Fairness to Steel Mage. This is, I believe, the middle of the night for him. Like his mother was saying earlier, he couldn't sleep, decided to race.
Oh, I see an 8 on his clock. So, I mean,
the
middle of the night for a gamer.
Time zones. I just assumed that okay. With the comment we got earlier. He's
right.
in Australia, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think so. Right now, it would make sense. Story adds up. Facing Arakali, pretty smooth. His skill bar is looking very differently from the other guys, though. Where's the second ability that he's rocking right there? Yeah.
Steel skin and a stone golem. Some very defensive choices.
Interesting. I did see Havoc picking up a stone golem, but he never equipped it. Maybe due to the lack of red sockets. Maybe he just doesn't think it's worth it. Steel Mage, the only player showing us that minions can still do it. Wow, the damage from Steel Mage is crazy, though. His clear is incredibly powerful. The 4-link Orb of Storms somehow seems way better than the other players. I don't know. Most of the time, with the other guys have to cast Wave of Conviction or throw in an arc or something. For Steel Mage, he just casts Orb of Storms and everything's dead. He doesn't ever have to cast anything else. And it's been showing on his ladder placement because he's catching up.
I can give a look to see whether or not he's got anything on his profile that would make us. But
yeah,
it might be private. A few others have been. Let me see.
If he's on a 4-link, that means that both of his weapons are open, right? He can get spell damage. He can get flat elemental damage.
Yeah, he's got one of his weapons is giving, including the implicit, over 60% spell damage as well as flat cold dispels.
Wow,
and
that'll do it.
Damage. So actually, in terms of percent damage, it's like close to 80%.
Okay, yeah,
and the other one is flat lightning dispels.
Yeah, that'll do it. That makes total sense, and it's making a big difference. I think some of these guys might want to look into investing into getting rid of those +1 wands, because Steel Mage's strategy, very efficient.
He's also managed to grab himself a pair of 20% movement speed boots to go along with that. So his gear's looking pretty solid in general.
Yeah, that's very good. Fightgar and X-Leaf almost caught up to Havoc, except not, because both of them still have to run Solaris, and they're also going to have a little bit longer rerun to the Solaris Lunaris fight, but they're inching forward. And I think in the case of Fightgar, he still doesn't have adrenaline, so huge display of skill here. How is he keeping up with these guys?
Is it just on my end that X-Leaf has frozen up, or is that for you as well?
No, I think you have to just click the player.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Dr. Dexter dies.
Oh, no. It's alliterative, but it's not good.
Yeah. Level 46, rank 10. So still amongst the top. Unfortunately, the journey ends for him as Steel Mage has passed him and is now facing Dodgery. Will he be able to pull this one off? He has 1,500 HP, so much better HP than the other guys had on this fight. Most of them looking at more like 1,300. They have made significant upgrades since then. Havoc almost having 1,700 HP. A Granite Flask will prove to be very valuable for Blood Aqueduct's runs if he decides to do so, but I think these guys are looking to kill Kitava as soon as possible.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see a lot of time spent in Aqueducts. That is scary. Out of life flasks, but he's all right. He's made it through, and he's opting to go the usual strat of going to the right instead of the left here.
All right, let's see how this fight goes for Havoc facing Lunaris and Solaris. Starting off with Solaris, okay, so he's gonna have to deal with the rocks from Lunaris for a little bit longer. Compared to if you were to do this fight the other way around. It does have an impact with which boss you start, keeping up his conductivity, perfectly controlling both his elemental exposure and his lightning spire trap. Super clean fights from Havoc today.
Very good cooldown rotation in general. You know, taking the stray hit here or there, but usually it's in service of trying to get a debuff up and at a point when a stray hit isn't going to cost him the fight. So very, very well played through to the Blood Aqueducts. You can now freely call it the Blood Aqueducts, Raiz.
Yep, that is indeed the Blood Aqueducts. Let's see what kind of plan Havoc's going to have here. Without the practice, I wonder if he's going to be making the right decision. It's time to progress or it's time to stick around. I believe that the players are about 2 hours and 10 minutes since the race has started, which is a pretty respectable time, but you're going to have to speed up if you want to beat that. Previously, Camel mentioned 2 hours and 32 minutes world record for the Acton Kitava kill, at least when it comes to recorded runs, obviously. You know, I can do it faster, but I just never recorded it.
Yeah. OBS just keeps crashing every time.
Yeah, exactly. You too. Okay, I get it. This is why we are casters, to give an opportunity for the other players to, you know, get some titles as well. And everybody's currently heading over to Solaris and Lunaris. Leaf will be the first one to do it over Fightgar. Again, Fightgar struggling to keep up without that adrenaline flask. But Templar seems to be the better way to do this somehow.
Did get some real nice boots just watching Fightgar re-gear himself. Those have life, double res, and room for a movement speed craft. It was like 80-ish life or something. So, you know, some of his gear luck is good, but yeah, the Quicksilver is hurting him a bit, or the lack of the adrenaline, really.
Yeah, and he's only got 15% movement speed on those boots as well. In the meanwhile, Leaf fighting Solaris and Lunaris. I think he went with the Lunaris kill first, yeah. So, a little afraid of those rocks. Somebody died, but
Leafs lose. It's
rank 7. Rank 7,
rank
I think.
7.
It looked like a 2, so I was like, but I think Leaf is second right now, so
we would have been much more sure about who it was that ripped.
Yeah. Okay, takes down Solaris. No, he also started with Solaris. Okay, interesting. You have Flamethrower Trap, deal with Lunaris. Nicely done by Leafs. I don't know why I called them Leafs, but
there's only one of them.
Yeah, there's only one of them, as far as we know. He will be participating in the ExileCon finals. He has qualified as the second qualifier, actually. So we'll see if there's multiple of them. We'll get to the bottom of this and his hidden profile, you know, low life screen mode. Oh, apparently the rank 7 that died was Gucci Pradas. Oh, man.
Ooh.
You know, if I get an opportunity to watch Gucci die, I'll take it. Anytime, any day. Let's see where Gucci fell.
Gotta claim her first victim that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Going for that coveted 4-hour run, as we can see in the middle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little tricky. Fighting with that vulnerability phase. His goal is 4 hours, and he will not be making it.
That is what I was talking about earlier. Sometimes Dwedger just slaps you, man.
Yeah, she has one attack where she attacks with a single projectile, and she has another where she attacks with 3. And if you're directly in front of her, you're not going to have a lot of room to react. And that's exactly what happened with Gucci Pradas. I would full screen fight guard, but I think we're okay.
It's a lot of trust, but I think it's warranted as the fight finishes up.
All right, Havoc and Boiling Rake, so he is progressing. Leaf is progressing as well. Nobody's looking to get those levels. Everybody wants to get through Kitava as fast as possible. Havoc being level 55 will be quite under-leveled. Soon, he's going to stop getting XP, being 7 levels under the zone currently. Man, things are about to get sketchy, because when you're not increasing in power and the content keeps getting harder and harder, you really feel it with everything on the line.
You know, the big opportunity for other people on the ladder to overtake Havoc if he missteps.
Mm-hmm. For sure, absolutely. That's Steel Mage. Where's he loading up? Okay, he went to the right side, I do believe. So he's going to be running, already made his way through Solaris, going to be running towards Lunaris. Maybe let's check up real quick on Carvaroscu, as he is further ahead on progression, like we mentioned previously, instead of Steel Mage. Ooh.
We can see if we can catch any other close calls.
Ooh, that's not what I meant to do. Not good.
I mean, Fight Guard's a pretty exciting guy. Got some good Blood Aqueducts gameplay going on there.
Yeah, that was just a smoother transition from Steel Mage into Carvaroscu, who is also making it through Blood Aqueducts.
Hide the transitions. I see.
Yeah, for sure.
You're a cinematographer.
I'm not gonna lie, I do have a list of players that I can choose from, and at the start of the race it was much longer, this list. We're getting down to about 10 players, so these guys are your last hope for a dignified race finish. And I think we need to root. We need to get some roots out for them.
I have faith. These are good players. They'll see it through to the end.
For sure.
Havoc's and Quarry. We got an impressive race on our hands, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Havoc especially, if he can, I believe that he can get a time under 240. Very much. If he keeps going at this pace, everything seems to be going well for him. I think if he were to finish the race, and if we were to interview him, he's probably gonna bring up how he didn't practice, but and the run could have been a world record, but still a super impressive showing. But as a racer, you always want that little bit extra, right? You're always your worst critic or biggest critic.
Both work, I think.
Oh yeah, okay, well.
And that's a trait you kind of got to have if you really want to be pushing to the top of this sort of thing. You can't really settle in a racing environment. It's about trying to beat everyone else, including yourself.
How about getting a little bit sketched out by the hammer dude mace guy? Oh, dropping low. Yeah, he doesn't have this fight under control, using all of his life lasts.
This is kind of a symptom of being under leveled at this point, as you were saying, you know, like what was it, 8 or 9 levels into the zone, something along those lines. It's just going to be real tough with some of the bosses he's coming up against if things don't line up well. You know, it looks really, really clean, as we've said a few times, when all the things do line up. But if the boss decides, no, I'm going to step about 3 feet to the right, and all your lightning spire traps won't matter, you don't really have a fallback plan.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great thing to point out. And as we've mentioned, the bosses are learning, they are adjusting, they know, don't stand in the red stuff, and you'll do better in the fight. Havoc making his way over to Act 9. This is a very impressive time, honestly. The Act 10 doesn't take a whole lot of time. I think he can get through it within like 12, 13 minutes. So if he can just get on over to the trial fight, I still call her Dodgery, just like a mega Dodgery.
She's assimilated the others.
Yeah, she's just, it looks like it, no?
Leader of that particular conglomerate. I can believe that. Yeah. He's the loudest. Oh, it's a little annoying about that layout. Found the dead end.
Yep. What is it that Carv is struggling with right now? Is that you can't, I don't believe you can get a betrayal. Help me out, Octavian. What is it called? The one that invades you?
I wasn't I wasn't. Oh, intervention.
Intervention. There you go. Intervention betrayal, because he was getting chased down pretty far away there. I think you can only get fortify.
Yeah, fortification guaranteed spawns in that zone in Act 9. I mean, I guess in future zones you could potentially get an intervention, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't see any reason why you wouldn't be able to in like an Act 10 zone or something, since the mechanic is introduced. But if you're talking about Vistiri Desert, I wasn't actually watching Carve Screen at the time.
No, it was the next zone, the one with the waypoint where you enter Boiled Lake, where he is now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, theoretically, I think you could.
Okay, let's take a look at the ladder. Havoc, Leaf, Fightgar, Steel Mage, Tai Killer at level 52. I am getting some update that Tai Killer is apparently doing really well and catching up with the other players. Let's maybe take a quick look at him. I do know that Tai Killer is the type of player who's gonna play underleveled, and he's pretty much done that in every single other race where he's significantly lower level, but he's really far ahead on progress. But this is not the case, and he does not look happy with himself.
He's got the second highest health on the screen right now. Yeah, it doesn't look like he's that underleveled, or maybe he's just over geared. Maybe he got really lucky in that regard. But he's got 1800 health. You know, that's more than Havoc has.
Yeah. Yeah, Tai Killer, I mentioned this every race, so I feel kind of silly repeating it, but he's the guy who gears really, really, really hard for whatever reason, and he doesn't put any effort into it. His inventory management is some of the best, honestly. Just watching Leaf kind of fighting Chevron there as Tai Killer starts up his Lunaris Solaris fight. He never ever goes for Mind Over Matter. He always plays, whenever it comes to like a mapping event, with 4-link, 3-linked heralds. And he always somehow has more EHP than even the Mind Over Matter players, even though their skill trees look the same. He is just a gearing god and makes all the right choices when it comes to that. And it really shows event after event.
Just get life rolls, right? Yeah,
I really don't think it boils down to that. It's just he prioritizes the way he gears towards it.
I'm undermining it a bit by saying that.
Fightgar's bleeding.
What happened?
Yeah, you know, I was kind of sold.
Guys?
Yeah, it was the bleeding guys. He's still dropping a little bit low, but he does have a bleed removal flask. But yeah, I was kind of salty about that initially with Tai Killer, where somehow he would always have these incredible amounts of life. And I was like, yeah, he's just getting life rolls, but he does it event after event after event every single time. It seems like a pretty essential part of just the way he plays the game.
Yeah, I mean, if you do it consistently, it gets to the point where it's not going to be luck anymore. Yeah. Oh, Leaf waiting out the dodgery attacks in the top left, and Leaf is caught up with Havoc. Just would like to point out. Leaf is ahead of Havoc. I thought he had like 2 more to do. I figured he was on his first one. Wow. Given that Havoc has been holding a lead for a little while, but no, I mean, Havoc still has the level lead, but that's not what matters here. We're not going to a level. Yep. We're going to a boss kill. And they're in Act 10, so how many more levels are you going to be getting? I mean, they're level 55, Havoc's level 57. Leaf's not really getting any XP out of these level 64, 65 zones. You just got to go fast now. One more, so he might get 1 more level, but I doubt we're going to see much more than that. Yeah, you're just trying to keep up your onslaught, so hopefully he's going to get it there. But, you know, if you're 10 levels below the zone, no matter how much you want that 1 more level, you're not going to be getting it. And this has turned out to be way closer of a finish than I ever thought it would be. Ooh. You know, even Fightgar is not to be trifled with right now. He's zooming his way through the very end of Act 9 as well. Oh yeah, for sure. A little bit scarier of a Doedre fight here, but it looks like he'll be fine. Oh yeah. Oh, that was the first person in Act 10. Xleaf, the first to announce a new zone in a long time that wasn't Havoc. I love how in the second Havoc sees that he clicks his Quicksilver even though he's like standing in a fight. Must go faster. You can't run out of this zone, man. Come on. Well, he's feeling the pressure. Both players dropping low on this fight. But yeah, Havoc takes it down as well. And it's going to be close. And at 223, that's going to be an impressive time if they manage to get to Kitava and kill him. I think this bodes really well for the XalCon race as well. Obviously, we don't have the big boy in the scene in this race because it was a streamer. You had to stream in order to be able to qualify for this.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a broadcast only race. We don't have Tie 23. But the fact that Havoc and Leaf, who I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, are both qualified for XalCon,
Yes.
are this close to one another with this much of a gearing difference early on. That Adrenaline Quicksilver was so early for Havoc.
Mm-hmm.
And yet consistently they're like pace for pace on each other's heels. I'm really excited about the XalCon race because we're probably going to see some very intense competition.
Oh yeah, I think so for sure as well. I like Leaf's name. Crying is my Mazda. Crying has not been participating in the recent races. Leaf trying to pay tribute to him, and the rank 1 finish would definitely do it in the name of the Duck Squad.
One thing we do have to keep in mind, if you look at the timers on each of these players' screens, XLeaf's stream does seem to have maybe a bit of delay or something because he's at 2:24:38 right now, and that is 10 seconds ahead of Havoc. More than a 10-second lead, he is still ahead. But if it becomes that close, which it honestly could, that is something we know to keep in mind. That Leaf is playing from, what is it, the future or the past? He's playing temporally displaced right now.
I'm not sure. Do we get updates on the actual boss kill itself, or is it only zone entrances? I wasn't paying too much attention to that.
Zone entrances will be announced in game. Like Kitava being killed isn't something that gets announced.
All right, we'll get to the bottom of this.
Epilogue. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. There was a little bit of delay. Some players started at like different times, but the race starts only at one time, so we're gonna be able to get to the bottom of this in case it really does come down to those seconds. And so far, from the looks of it, it just might.
I'd be really interested to watch over the VOD of this afterwards and try and pinpoint exactly what sort of decisions led Leaf to be able to make up this lead.
Honestly, Havoc
was massive at one point.
Havoc is overkilling pretty severely. I do hear that he's got pretty good gear in terms of his weapons. He's got that 4-link setup, but you see him casting Wave of Conviction a lot more, casting Arc a lot more. And if you take a look at Leaf's screen, he's pretty much not casting anything. Gets his onslaught, runs. That's it. Usually he's going to leave maybe one Wave of Conviction with an Orb of Storms. With Havoc, frequently you're going to see him casting 2, even 3 times per pack. And that extra XP is just not going to help him anymore at all.
It could also be a differentiation in time spent gearing. As you can see, XLeaf is in a bit more dire of a situation in that regard. He's got sub 1500 HP, whereas Havoc is, over 1700. So I think XLeaf just cut all the right corners. He's killing fewer mobs. He's spending less time gearing.
Yeah, Leaf is the type of player that, in his case, it's rank 1 or bust. He doesn't care about rank 2. He's going to take all the risks he can. That's why when he was qualifying and he, like everybody, did lose to Tie 23, he knew at that point that as long as he takes it easy and kind of gets there, he's gonna get it. But it did look like he was very uncomfortable in that position, just kind of establishing his rank 2 rather than trying to push for that rank 1 and just outplay everybody.
This is it, man.
They're in the same. They're in the exact same location.
We're in is this the feeding trough? There's 2 zones. I forget the name of each of them, but we're in the lead up to Kitava.
Yeah, it might boil down to the layout too. I mean, this one isn't complicated, but the length of it can be different. I think Havoc's going to be the one to exit first, despite Leaf entering first. Let's
Havoc
see.
Maybe, I don't know, having caught on to the fact that he was killing a few too many things, he's very infrequently casting the Arc now, just dropping the Orb of Storms and moving.
It's actually, I think he seems to be prioritizing the Arc somehow. I'm not exactly sure. No, there we go. Leaf is the first one to enter. Havoc so shortly behind. Oh boy.
Incredibly tense. It could come down to that 10 seconds. I was just pointing it out more as a curiosity than anything, but it honestly could come down to that 10-second difference. We're not going to know.
Yeah, well, we're going to find it out. That's for sure. I mean, the stream delay or not, we're gonna be finding that
Like,
out.
it's like watching the same screen. Okay, no, Kitava first to be entered by Leaf, at least as far as we can see. But within 10 seconds, Havoc's in there as well. So really, they could both have entered the fight, you know, basically at the same time.
Yeah. And by the way, there was talk of the entire 332 being the world record. Both of these guys are under it.
2. So yeah. Either way,
Havoc.
this is ridiculous.
Havoc is dropping super low, super duper low. But staying alive. Leaf actually would have been dead in that situation. So, oh, we have a rank
The
8
flamethrower
rip.
trap,
Yeah, I think Havoc.
it might be making a
Honestly,
difference.
well, the thing is, I think Havoc just started late. He started his timer late. The messages are popping up at the exact same time on their screens that rip message was. So I think they're on the exact same pace.
They might
It's-
very well be.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. This is so close. This is going to be within seconds. Like, not even double digit seconds, provided no one dies.
Yeah, but
But we're a
Havoc
good
pulled
part of the way
ahead.
through the
I think Havoc is
Actually,
ahead
having
now.
to portal out. There's a few loading screens he went through there as a result. Oh, but Havoc having to portal too. Okay.
Dealing with the
That's
hard
not
phase.
quite the final heart for X-Leaf. I think there's
Nope.
one more.
Yeah, they're on the same phase, except Havoc. No, Havoc is now behind. And he has to portal out. He has to deal with the heart.
Seriously, the flamethrower traps are making such a big difference.
Yep.
The extra single target that he's getting out of these. Havoc
takes-
does not have access to that tech.
Yeah, Havoc takes down the ads, takes down the almost final actual Kitava phase, and will be heading over to the ads. Leaf dodges expertly.
He doesn't want
Leaf?
to port. He doesn't want to have to port, but he's out of mana. One more port from Havoc as well. Bit of a
Yeah, but
time loss
Leaf
on
is
both.
starting ads. Oh no, Leaf gets the big fire phase. That's gonna give an
Yeah, that's
opportunity
gonna
for
waste
Havoc to catch
time.
up.
It's Havoc. No, Havoc's getting a disco ball placed.
Oh my god, Kitava is still casting. How's this happening?
It's down to the goddamn wire.
And Leaf has to log out too. Or not log out, teleport.
I think Havoc got the carpet of fire as well.
It's Leaf. Leaf has it.
Leaf. Oh man, Leaf's gonna
Unless
get
he
it,
dies.
barring a death to like the flicker. Strike
Dropping
guy,
low.
which is almost happened.
1.4 has to portal out. Oh my god.
Havoc
Oh,
does
he took
have the
took it.
consistency of the arc to chain through these things, but no, Leaf makes it, man.
That was... Well,
That
it's
was
not over
crazy.
yet. There you go. Okay. That was seconds apart.
231 something. I don't know, but 231 something.
I think both of them got a world record, but since Leaf won...
One of them got a world record. One of them got very close to getting a world record.
Well, and that player will be Relief, claiming rank 1 with Havoc claiming rank 2 out of this prize pool. Damn, that came down to the wire. That was crazy. Fightgar shortly behind, still running around without that adrenaline. I don't believe that there's anybody close. Maybe we're gonna have a update. All right, Xai will go through the VOD and make sure, but it looks like it is Leaf. Let me full screen Fightgar. We couldn't full screen the other scenario because, well, it was too close. Nobody to full screen when there's two guys. Fightgar types out GG right before, but he can still get third place, which is still in the money. I believe it's 20% of the total prize pool, with rank 1 claiming 50. Wow.
And
Fightgar
still
is...
an excellent run as well. Like if you finish on time, you're very close to previous world record.
Yep. Extremely close to the previous world record, like you mentioned. None of the players ascended, so seems like Xai's strategy was correct.
Liberal use of the portal scrolls here. Only has a couple more in his inventory, so I'm a little worried that he might run out.
Yeah, might have to go...
It's a necessity.
Yeah, he might have to go vendor some, pick up some more. He does have the wisdom scrolls for it. He does have 2,000 life, so much more than the other guys, only being level 55. Ooh,
There's
much
actually
lower.
a second. Yeah, he definitely has to buy some portals because that was a second portal that was used there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Apparently, Tai can still break the world record, but not win the race because he started late. That would be very
Good luck,
interesting.
though, man.
The shortest lived world record ever, but still would be very impressive. I'm sure Tai is gonna beat himself up over that if he does actually end up getting it, because he could have walked away with, you know, a couple hundred more bucks in his pocket if he just started on time. Don't be late, kids. It's not cool, you know. Uh-oh. What? How did he not get hit at all?
I don't know.
that was a fluke. Come on. This guy has ultimate acrobatics. He was just standing in the middle of all that. Well, art phase begins, and that's going to be the final one. If he can take this down, he claims the 3rd place.
He's getting some damage. The flicker guy, as always, is quite scary.
not pleased.
Flicker guy's still on him.
Yep.
I don't know about that flame dash in the middle.
Yeah.
That was scary.
That was really spooky, but will he be able to take it down? There you go. Just like that. Claims 3rd. Fight the Melee King, shows us that he's still got it. Nicely done.
Yeah, that's a very, very good time. You can be proud of that. He's not proud of it. He's saying, holy moly, so bad. But that's still a good time.
He says worse than all of his practice runs. Terrible RNG. Get out of here, Fight Guy.
He didn't get the adrenaline flash.
He did. Fight Guy always has terrible RNG, though. That's the problem. Fight Guy, the player known for people announcing, hey, I'm really good at this game. Check out this post on Reddit about how good I am. Here's a world record. And then Fight Guy immediately uploading a world record that's better than that one from like something he claimed a week ago. He was kind of known for that. Whenever people would upload world records, he was like, no, actually, here's this. And he could do that infinitely, seemingly infinitely. So I'll believe it. You know? MVP defensive wand. Listen, Fight Guy, save it for the interview.
Yeah, man.
What is happening?
Don't use
with
all
Leaf?
your material before we get you on mic.
Leaf, come on, calm down. Well, Titan Killer is 223. He is heading over to Innocence.
Soul Thirst, by the way.
Well, we're gonna.
That's why he's getting Soul Eater stacks. The belt, the one that gives you Soul Eater while you have a flask active.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But as soon as you activate another flask, you lose all your stacks.
Yeah, that's tricky to use, but we'll speed you up for sure.
It's got life on it too. It's just like an okay belt in the first place. Getting a few extra Soul Eater stacks here or there, getting some extra cast speed doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm. All right, and we're gonna get some interviews in here going as well. In the meanwhile, while we wait to see if Titan Killer is going to be able to claim it, I kind of want to prolong this a little bit just to, you know, when we get Leaf in here, and if Titan Killer actually manages to beat his world record, I want to see the live reaction. So let's prolong the interview for a little bit longer, but we're gonna get those interviews for you guys going shortly. We're going to be inviting the players just a little bit. But in the meanwhile, yeah, we can full screen Titan Killer. Let me just check out how everybody else is doing with Carvaroscu. Also probably being... Oh, Carv is fighting Kitava.
Good
nice.
timing.
Yeah. Huh?
Right at the start as well. Oh, well, this is a phase that's been done.
Mm-hmm.
Again, what I would see is a pretty respectable time. But we'll see whether or not it lives up to his standards if he manages to make it through. And Steel Mage as well, closing in on the Kitava fight. Very, very close to getting there.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Absolutely. I don't believe that we have anybody else in there that we can check out. But maybe, just maybe. But yeah, let's full screen Carvaroscu real quick, see how it goes for him as Titan Killer is still making his way over there. Will Carv be able to finish, which already is really impressive?
Oh.
Oh.
This man is the king of close calls this race.
Yeah.
He's got to pay for this at some point, right? There's not that much longer for him to pay, though.
Oh my God.
Just one last hurdle to get over.
Talk about cutting corners. Carve the racing master. Oh my goodness. Come on. You can do it, Carve.
There's another one.
Oh,
That is the embodiment of Monka S right there.
indeed. All right, Octavian, take it away from here as I try and figure out how we do all of this stuff.
Sure thing. Carve as well, bringing the flamethrower trap tech to the fight. Gonna help him push through these phases a little bit more quickly, but taking a few more zaps than you'd probably like to see. Did Steel just die? I think Steel just died. I think he's dead.
Steel is perished. We're gonna get a replay of that for you guys.
Okay. Probably in the Kitava fight, because we did see him running right up to it, but maybe it was some dangerous nemesis monster that was right before him. We also had, I think that's Terrence, if I recall the character names. I like Slums. Has died at rank 7 as well.
Oh,
An absolute
no.
bloodbath right at the end of the race.
Oh man, that is brutal. Not quite making it in the end. But Carve, I'm sure
Should be
he's
the last phase here.
Yeah, he's just
another close call from the Flicker Strike guy. Carve is very familiar with the portion of his health bar that's below 500. Dangerously familiar with it. But it makes it through in the end.
Yeah, that was.
Never drop below 0. You're good.
Ooh, iron scale boots. I believe those are dusks for the 15% movement speed. Maybe could have been useful, maybe not.
Yeah, a lot of chaos res too, but that's not too terribly relevant at this point. I
Mhm.
love how all of our racers at the finish line have had little gem cannot level up gray icons on the side because no one's high enough level to level up their gems anymore.
Yep. I think so as well. And with that, we're going to be getting the guys for the interviews for you guys just shortly. And yeah, Steel Mage is totally dead. Let us get a replay for you as Titan Killer is already fighting Kitava. Oh, no replay for you guys.
No time for replays. No time for rip clips.
Absolutely not. Full screen, a scuffed. What?
Oh no, never mind. We're watching Steel die.
No.
Oh, what are we watching?
We're
There's two
watching
Steel Mages.
Titan
What the heck?
Killer. We're watching Titan Killer. Okay, a little bit. I got a little bit ahead of myself. Clicked a couple too many buttons, but we've got it under control.
A little bit hectic here on this corner. A lot of stuff being thrown his way. Deals with it though. Actually, very well played. And out of flask charges entirely. We'll see whether or not he chooses to portal again here, or if he wants to save it for some other point. That instant life flask doing a lot of work, but now he is completely out of flask charges. Very close again. Tai. I feel like a portal earlier was probably warranted, but he's out of there. He's fine.
Yeah, Tai definitely being a lot more expressive in today's race than he usually is. Typically keeping cool and collected face, but I think he knows that he's on the brink of getting a world record.
29:51. The clock is ticking.
Yep.
That's probably why he avoided the portal. He's not playing it safe. He's trying to push new boundaries.
Well, at this point, the world record will be his claim to fame as, again, having started late.
Last phase, but he... Oh, God, choked twice. You don't have that much time, Tai. Get back in there.
Come on, man. He's got it.
Hey.
No.
15?
It's not over.
That wasn't the last one.
No,
Raiz, did you bait it?
He's halfway through. He needs to speed up. He's got a minute.
You told me it was the last one, Raiz.
No. I wasn't listening. I'm trying to get this interview online, but the production is not helping at all.
I got all hyped. Oh, it's still pretty damn hype.
Yep. Let's.
Is that the third time that he's carpeted the arena in fire?
I think even more,
It's at
actually.
least the second. Not a cooperative Kitava.
Pack dies and as well. Another one. But this should be it. Come on, he can do it. He's got 30 seconds to take the last heart phase.
What's going on? Okay, there we go.
Well, 20 seconds. Oh my, this is gonna be close. He's
Throwing
really
some
taking his
lightning
time. Does
traps
he
to
not
deal
know?
with the uniques? What's going on, Tai?
Is he missing vital information?
that
Taita, you
man's
got 10 seconds. Oh, he
There
did
you
it.
go.
Well, he did it.
I mean, that's a lesson in how important being punctual is, isn't it?
Absolutely. Don't be late like the cool kids. All right. And with that, Taita Killer claims the win. Kind of. But mostly. Octavian, can you hear me? Sorry. To break it up.
Yeah,
Because
we're good.
production doesn't help at all, and they don't understand that when you add a person, it's going to drop the call, you know? So no problem. All right. Well, with that, we're going to get an interview going with Leaf in just a second for you guys. He's going to, ooh, those beautiful blue eyes shine up. And we're going to get this call going.
Hello?
Ooh, there we go. Leaf, how are you feeling? Little late with the question as the race has finished a second ago, but how are you feeling? He can't hear us.
Do we have him? Oh, no.
No, he's on his phone. Okay, the reason why it also took a little bit was because, well, his phone apparently got locked down because Discord something. We're trying. Does Taita Killer's microphone just explode? What is he doing?
He says his mic is scuffed. If he treats it like that, I can see why.
Yeah, something is just not quite right. Everything seems to be not right with everything. This is a disaster. Do we have anybody else finishing the race? No, Havoc is already mapping with another character. He does not care. Well, Leaf apparently can't hear anything. While we get that ready, possibly in another call with Viro, we can invite the rank 2 player. Since Leaf does need a second, it seems to gather his thoughts, you know, calm down after this successful win. The rank 2 player would be Havoc in this case.
Hello?
Ooh, hello, Havoc?
Is he
Hi.
there? The man
I'm
himself?
there. Hey. Hi.
Ooh. Havoc, how are you feeling? That was close.
Yeah, I guess it was. I don't know. Just pretty nonchalant right now, actually. I don't know.
Wait, you don't know? It was down
That's
to
a
the
good
wire,
reaction,
man.
I guess. Yeah, you guys were within probably literally 5 to 10 seconds of one another at the end there.
Okay, cool. I guess. I don't know. I don't know. There wasn't really that much hype for this race for me.
Okay.
I don't really feel like there's anything. Okay. Look at it this way. The last race was like, yo, last ExileCon qualifier for the next like 3 months. Who knows what's happening after that? All of this hype, last chance, last shot, right? You know what I mean?
Okay, okay.
Like, this is kind of like just some random race. You know, it's just like, I don't know. I was kind of just chilling the whole race. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah, I get where you're coming. Apparently, you weren't even gonna participate until last minute. What did
Steele's like, yo, you should just do it anyways. I'm like, okay, yeah, you're right. So like, fuck it, let's just do it.
Yeah, and Steele did it late too, right? He was like, I guess I'm gonna do it as well.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I think all of Chad would be very happy if, you know, they could just casually step into a race and take second place, just barely losing out to Leaf. I mean, you are talking about how it wasn't as hype because you're coming off of that huge win with the recent ExileCon qualifier, but Leaf is one of the people that you're going to be competing against it at ExileCon. Are you a little worried now, you know?
No, because I didn't even practice for the race, so.
Oh. So there's
ExileCon's gonna be a totally different ball game.
Oh, totally different ball game entirely. Okay, so you're gonna put in the time, put in the effort.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, I see. Any shout outs you might have? Oh, actually, before that, we saw that you got a pretty early adrenaline flask, right?
Yeah, that was kind of lucky, I guess. But I was also killing like a lot of mobs. I just had like 5 ults at the start of Act 4, which is pretty rare to have that many. I was just picking up a lot of loot, just playing like pretty safe the whole time. Yeah, I was pretty lucky. 30 adrenaline. Then I rolled adrenaline like 3 more times or 2 more times or something while trying to get other flash mods. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, you had a lot of transmutes as well. I think even like Act 3, I saw you with 9 transmutes or something. So
Yeah, I might have been overlooting a bit, just slightly, but it's all right.
yeah, in general, you seem to be ending up with just more levels than other players. Is that a conscious choice, or do you think maybe you could save a little bit of time by just
I think I could save a ton of time by actually focusing on levels properly. Just I don't know. I just was going with the flow, and I didn't really have a plan. I was just mob, see what happens.
Hmm.
I think I'm back.
Yeah, I
welcome
think
back,
Octavian's back. Yeah, there we go.
Sorry about that.
No problemo. Any questions that come to mind for Havoc?
I think they were pretty much covered earlier on.
Okay.
I think you were about to lead into it when I cut out, but yeah, I was wondering how you felt about this race being sort of a glimpse into what we might see at XLCon, since you and Leaf are both qualified for that and were the top contenders.
I guess
here.
it's like half a glimpse or
half.
Well,
of
yeah,
yeah. Just, there's only
like
two
different,
of you,
right? Because it's
the other
like
two ain't around.
It's
that
2
and
glimpses
also-
instead of half. Come on, because it's an Act
Yeah.
10 and not an Act 5. It's 2 glimpses.
True. Well, that's the thing, right? It's an Act 10 race where like I don't think either of us practiced the second half. I don't know if Lee practiced. Did he practice?
We haven't been able to get him in here
I'm
for
sure-
an interview.
I assumed you guys were already interviewing him. So.
Yeah,
We've got some
no.
connectivity issues.
I'm
Okay.
assuming that he's also going to say he hasn't practiced, and he doesn't
Mhm.
have arms either.
Oh yeah.
All of that stuff.
My little brother was playing.
Yeah.
It wasn't
Yeah.
even me.
Probably. Well, I wasn't playing either. I mean, it was I was playing with one hand. I was like, playing the loop on. I was playing the piano at the same time. It was pretty cool.
Okay, Havoc, any shout outs, man?
Shout outs. I mean, thanks to Zai for organizing the race. Thanks to you guys for casting. Thanks for the chat, for the support, and yeah, it's pretty cool, dude.
All right, awesome, man. Thank you so much for participating, and again, congratulations on that second place placement and on the winnings. The Euros. What are you gonna do with the money, man?
I have no idea, but I heard Leaf needed a new mic, so maybe I subconsciously slowed down by 5 seconds to purchase a new mic because I'm just a really.
All right,
very kind
Havoc,
of you.
get out of here.
You're a great guy. Havoc.
Get this guy out of
Giving away
here.
your XLCon ticket, giving away your lead in the race.
Just too nice, man. Just too nice. Anyways, see you guys later, man. Have a good one.
All right, thanks very much, man.
Yeah.
All right, do we have the Leaf the man? Can he hear us this time?
Yo, I can hear you. What's up, dude?
Well, then you must have heard
Nice.
what Havoc just said.
Yeah, I heard he made a lot of excuses.
Maybe I should have
No
kept him in the
practice. Hello.
How
I
much
did,
practice did you have here, Leaf?
I
How much practice
did
do you
like
have?
200 hillock kills. That's all. I didn't make it past Act 6 in my practice, which was 1 run, which was and yeah, that was like the only run I made it out of Act 1.
Oh no. Okay. All right. No excuses. Do you feel good about this overall though? You have actually, we're still confirming. I'm not even sure. TLDR, this was a world record in your eyes. Did you know that you were getting a world record?
No, dude, I played like fucking dog shit. I was
Whoa.
like chilling.
What does
I
that
was
say about the
chilling
world
in-
record?
Come
I
on.
was chilling in Discord with the boys, watching Netflix on my other monitor. I was chilling.
I see. All right. Well, taking a note out of Havoc's book. I see. All right. Well, any
Also,
terrible RNG.
Gucci
I know.
says, Gucci says I still have the world record because I started the timer before I made character. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
we-
He says he's gonna slap you.
Well, I don't know who's got the world record. We're still figuring it out.
I
We're
thought
getting-
people said Tai have it, but I think my time was faster than his, according to Gucci.
Okay. We're checking VODs. I'm reading. Okay. No, we don't
Yeah,
have a
for
full
your,
update. We're
the
still doing it.
2:31:38 is the official time for Leaf.
Either way, Ty's gonna upload a video tomorrow and it's gonna be gone, so I don't really care.
Okay.
Hold on to the glory.
Well, we did hear that you need a new microphone. Is that where you're gonna be spending your winnings on, or Are you gonna
Yeah,
let
for
Havoc
sure.
gift you a microphone instead?
Wait, what?
Yeah, he was talking about how he's gonna get you a microphone. That's why he subconsciously went slower, you know?
I don't think he's gonna give me a microphone anymore, dude.
Okay. So you had 0 RNG, no practice, terrible run. What Netflix did you watch at least if we're going down that route?
SpongeBob.
All right, there you go. See, he didn't
That's the
hesitate,
shit, dude.
chat.
It's the secret.
Well, Leaf, thank you very much for participating in the race. Any special shout outs?
Shout out to Crying. I went into this race with the mentality to just have fun. 'Cause I remember Crying said, like once a long time ago, just have fun. And it actually worked a lot, even though I played like garbage. I guess I won.
All right, I'll call it way too humble for all of our sakes. All right, but I see this as a message for all of us together, chat and casters, to step up our game. Because if this is garbage, then I don't know what good is. But I guess we're gonna see it at ExileCon, right?
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
fully expecting a 215 in the next couple weeks at this point. Like that,
Yeah.
the onus is on you guys now.
I'm expecting a 115, honestly. But yeah, do you feel at least a little bit more confident about having beaten Havoc in this race for
Yeah.
the ExileCon finals?
Yeah, I'm excited to race him again.
Okay. Land situation. All right, man.
But
Thank you so
as it
much.
stands right now, I'm the best brown man in Pew.
Whoa. I hope Havoc hasn't heard that. He's gonna take that to heart.
Best Canadian brown man.
Narrowing it down even further. Well, we're gonna have to wait and see, right? The world finals, the ExileCon finals are yet to come, and that's where you're truly gonna be able to prove if you can stand by those words and claim the title of the ultimate brown man.
I'm excited, dude.
All right, awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See ya.
Okay. Apparently, FightGuard is not responding. Therefore, we could get the next best thing, as Octavian mentions here. Carvarosco. Carvarosco's got a teleporting Shaco Pepe.
What was that?
Carv played too much D2, okay? Like, way too much. Production. Are we getting Carv in? I think so. Apparently, FightGuard is not responding. He was the 3rd place claimant. And also, can we finally have a confirmation on who actually has the world record? Please.
Somebody does.
Somebody does. It's one
on stream.
Yeah. It's one or the other.
Carve, my man. How are you? How's your heart health after all those close calls? You doing okay? Oh, he's not actually there.
Wait, is he not?
It says he is. There's a mushroom in the chat.
I see the
There's a
mushroom.
icon in our chat right
So
here.
you hear me?
Yep.
There he is.
Okay. Good.
There he is. You missed my
I
zip.
had my settings off in Discord.
Oh, okay.
Well, have you at least heard Octavian's question?
No, sorry, I muted the stream when I joined the call.
That's fair. I was wondering how you're doing after all those close calls in the race, and whether or not it gave you a multitude of heart attacks. Because you
What
were
close
dropping low
calls?
pretty frequently.
I don't remember any close calls. I just remember calculated logouts. That's all I know.
Yes, like the one
Especially down
against
here.
like the one against the spider.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was totally calculated. I just forgot to check if I actually got the kill after. Yeah. Totally didn't panic logout.
Yeah, that would have been a big run back. I think that would have cost you a lot of time. But overall, you feel good about this performance? You've kind of gotten recently back into racing. You think you're getting back up there?
Considering my one and only practice run was getting
Oh,
to
no.
X3 and then
Okay,
tilting
no,
off the
no.
planet, I think I did fine.
Nobody practiced.
No more practice.
I've been playing POD, dude.
Okay.
I'm just blasting POD.
Yeah, you've been playing
How did we get a world record on the run where nobody practiced? How did we do that?
You've been playing the
Just made
harder
it seem to me
game.
like I was involved in any capacity, but still.
It just means that the world record was done without any proper preparation and practice and shit like that. It's gonna get taken out fast.
I hope so.
I
want to see
think
people
like
optimize.
I can take 10 minutes off this. So like the others can do like 220, I think, with a good run easily. If they have a really good run, I think they can do sub 220.
Okay, okay. What would you say has been the biggest of hurdles in this race for you personally? Like I mentioned, you kind of recently got back into it. Where do you think you're losing this time? What could be improved?
Well, the first 3 acts are absolute dog shit for me.
Whoa.
I'm just bad at the early game.
But that's like kind of, that was the majority of the content when you were in your racing prime, I would say overall.
Yeah,
Why do you
like,
think that
that's
is?
like, you know, that was during the time when dinosaurs were still alive. So
Right.
So, because the layouts, well, you'd know better than me.
let's not
but
talk about the
a lot of-
layouts. Oh,
Let's
God.
not. All right, we'll steer clear of that. What is it
I
that
don't
you
know
feel
what
like
I
you need to
thought it-
update on?
Sorry, can you
You know,
repeat?
What is it that you feel like you need to update on coming back? What is it that you feel like you're rusty on? Is it itemization? Is it skill choice? Is it, just a little bit of everything?
I just need to stop fucking around and being efficient at what I'm doing. That's pretty much all. Like
Okay.
like you can probably, if we go back watch the one, every time I change gear, my character probably stops, and that's time lost when you could be moving and doing at the same time.
Right. Just, we're getting older, Carve. The
Yeah,
hands are
we're
just
getting
not as
older.
quick. Time to start
Yeah.
casting.
We'd be happy to have you on the desk.
Oh God.
Carve, even in his desperation, he's gonna continue to try and prevail to do everything but not the caster desk. But Carve,
I mean,
thank you.
you can clearly tell that Havok has been doing a lot of practice recently.
His
Mhm.
name.
He's,
His name said otherwise.
His early acts are really good right now. It's just you just need to practice and need to actually do a lot of practice.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Need to find some time and willpower to do that. But I kind of want to start continue working on the layout guides. I have like the pictures of like all the way to like almost end of Act 2. I just need to actually make the guide.
Oh,
Look
nice.
forward to it.
Do I need to rename the playlist now, because it's actually the name of the playlist is POE layout guides. So I actually need to do what you thought the name was, which was cartography. That's my character name that I'm using on those is called Cartographer. So
I mean, it's a solid name. That's up to you, ultimately. Your YouTube channel, your content.
Okay, well, Carve, thank you so much, man. We look forward to that content. We appreciate you, and congratulations on the
first loser spot. Thanks.
On I was gonna say on the good performance, okay, but none of you guys think anybody did good, so I'll see you later, right?
I think we all were bad, honestly.
All right.
Oh, damn it.
Can somebody? How do you kick people out of Discord calls? I just get out of here.
It was okay.
There you go. God damn it, man!
We got a world record. Somebody did well. Damn
Listen, we're getting Fight Guy in here. He's apparently responding, but not quite. I'm not sure. People are saying he's not responding. We're getting him in 1 minute. It's gonna be the final interview of the day. We're gonna be shutting down house. Fight Guy was the rank 3 placement. We just squeezed in a Carve interview in there. In the meanwhile, hopefully Fight Guy will have some encouraging words for all of us who can't even do it in 5 hours,
Hiya, Fight Guy.
Ooh, is he here?
Is he muted again? I need to stop saying hello when people enter. There he
Oh.
is.
That's working nice. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
man.
is.
Hi.
Hi, dude. You got 3rd. How are you feeling?
Who cares how I'm feeling, right? I'm not even going to ExileCon, so
Oh man.
Aw.
Oh.
Not salty, by the way.
But if you were to be salty, where do you think that salt would be coming from?
Yeah. Oh man, I'm pretty tilted. I have to admit, more tilted than I've been in a long time. But I think I'll get over it eventually. Just yeah. I honestly feel like none of these races, the four big ones, obviously, and I even got the extra opportunity that a lot of other people didn't get for the ExileCon races, and then this one again, as usual. Just my early games are always so terrible, and and it's terrible compared to like the practice I do the day before, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Probably should just stop talking about that stuff. I don't know what else to say about it. But anyway, let's see. What can we talk about?
Well,
yeah, my Malachite time was like terrible, so I kind of knew I had very little chance. But I actually feel like I caught up a lot. Like I had like a 1 hour 10-minute Malachi or something like that. That's really bad. I mean, it's at least 5 minutes bad, which was the difference between me and first place approximately, I think. So, yeah. Didn't get anything. Got movement speed in Act 2, I think. I did actually get blue green, but then I couldn't afford to like craft anything. My quicksilvers were bad, obviously, et cetera, et cetera. XP was okay, I guess. Yeah. So then we got to about just fast forwarding because there's really nothing to talk about between like honestly Act 4 and Act 8. I feel approximately. You just play through it. There's nothing. There's hardly any way to catch up unless obviously you get lucky with adrenaline or something. And then when you get to Act 8, that's when things start to get a little harder. You can die, but not before that. Anyway. So yeah, around Act 8, I noticed that both Havoc and somebody else, I couldn't tell who was ahead of me. So I figured, I'm probably third because I was like half a zone behind the other guy that I couldn't recognize, which apparently was Leaf. So I figured, all right, we'll just kind of play it safe. So I did some more crafting, crafted a bunch of life on my gear. I switched my boots for more life, and then kind of just sandbagged into third. So that's the TLDR, I guess.
Okay. Well, thank you for the lengthy explanation as compared to everybody else who was just like, oh, shit. But
yeah, well, it would be disrespectful to Zai if I said, I just kind of winged it. I didn't practice. None of that's true. I did practice a little bit. I wanted to try different strategies. Try this whole witch thing with the LA Pro Lift chain, which I don't like for this race, by the way, which is why I went Templar. We could talk about that, but you probably want to just leave. So. Anyway, I think Templar's way better for speedruns.
Those strategies are interesting because we saw pretty solidly across the board some homogeneity. A few choices here or there to use flamethrower trap or not use it, or use arc or not use it. But I'm always intrigued by anything that could be new at the edge of the at the forefront of the racing meta.
Yeah. Basically, what I decided after trying a few different things was pure lightning as much as possible was the best for this because this is basically boss kills, right? You don't really care about the trash. I mean, as long as you're putting storm or whatever it's called, Orbis Storms down, you'll get XP. I did use Stormbrand also, which does help, kind of the same way that Arc helps for the witches, I guess. You cast it only when you have to, but it's also better against bosses because it's more passive damage. And yeah, you just want to scale up your lightning as much as possible instead of trying to push the cold damage and exploding stuff. Yeah, I just found that chain prolift stuff doesn't actually work anymore after about Act 7. Things just stop dying and they definitely stop freezing. So I didn't really see the point, especially for this race where again it's just boss kills because then your Orbis Storms is terrible against bosses too. Yeah, and then I used Herald of Purity instead because I really like the minions to tank. They're really good at distracting bosses, basically like decoy totems. It doesn't actually add a lot of damage, but it does help your what's the other one called? Wave of Conviction. A lot better than Herald of Ice does. So yeah, I think my setup's the best for this kind of race. So there you go. Hopefully, at least I impart some knowledge on the community, and you can learn from my misfortune.
Yeah. What do you think about
Herald of Purity choice? Is interesting. Go ahead.
What did you think about Ascendancies? It wasn't worth it?
Nah, I didn't even test going Ascendancies anymore. That's way too slow, I think, because it's like approximately 10 minutes total that it takes you to do all the trials, like just normal, do all the trials and do lab, and you definitely don't get that 10 minutes back. And basically, the only reason you would do Ascendancy is if you thought you needed the damage, or if you wanted to play super safe and go defensive. But obviously, you don't want to do that if you want to win. So so basically the question is, do you have enough damage on your Lightning Spire trap without it? And I figured that if you're at around level 55 is when it levels up, and you have a 4-link, you can kill Kitava with it pretty easily. So, and that's seems like what pretty much everyone did.
Okay. So no shield charge strats. We were really hoping that somebody's gonna do it.
That's somebody.
Nobody did. I'm not surprised. It's so awkward, and that puts a lot of stress on your gems too, because they need the extra links, and then you're using a shield instead of a wand, so you're doing less damage. Yeah, maybe it's worth it on like the perfect run if you knew what was going to drop and you knew it was the time to shield charge. It would be better because it's obviously a little faster, and you also have to be really good at it. I've never liked shield charge basically, so that's bottom line is my thoughts on that. I'll never use it if I can avoid it.
Okay. Well, thank you for all of that insight. Really appreciated, FightGar. Unless Octavian has some more questions.
Well, that was pretty darn comprehensive.
Yeah, that was really comprehensive. Thank you so much, FightGar, for all the valuable informations, and I'm sure many will use it to improve themselves as a player. As well, that's what it's all about, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, cool. All right, and big thanks to Zai, of course, for continuing Camel's legacy of fun monthly races. I hope we get to see a few more this year.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you so much to Zai, and thank you so much, FightGar, for that interview. And I think with that, we're gonna be shutting things down. Octavian, thank you so much for co-casting with me. That was a lot of fun.
It was a pleasure.
All right, everybody. If you enjoyed this race, I'm sure you're going to be able to check it out on YouTube. Thank you so much for Zai and everybody working in production, Viros, Kriya doing the graphics, Mukve with the access to the wonderful tool that you can see me replaying people's rips over and over through. If you look forward to more racing, stay alert. There are Discords for that. Try and stay informed with the community. And yeah, again, if you had fun, support these sort of events, as you know, there's more to come in the hopefully near future. Yeah. Octavian, any final closing thoughts?
I expect the world record to be improved vastly over the next couple months if these players seem to think that you know, was a disappointing run. That's honestly exciting to me if people have that perspective, because it means there's room to improve between now and XLCon.
Couldn't agree more. And with that, we're gonna shut things off. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you to the participants. I will see you guys later. Have a good one, everyone. Bye.